I had my mic muted. What's going on, everybody? How's it going? How's it going? It's your old buddy Pine Sap. It's your old pal. It's good to see all of you. How are you doing? How are you doing? I got my new green screen in the background, so that's pretty sick. I like it a lot. It's pretty cool, actually. So I'm trying to make sure I'm looking in the camera, but it's good seeing all of you guys. I really hope you didn't hear any of the anger. I really hope you didn't hear any of the anger on my end, dude. So basically what was happening was I was trying to start the stream and there wasn't anything really wrong with like my YouTube account itself as much as there was with the Streamlabs plugin. Never get the Streamlabs plugin for OBS. It is the worst, most garbage thing ever. I hate it so much. I would destroy it with fire if I could. It is absolutely terrible, dude. It's like the worst thing I've ever had the misfortune of using, but that's okay. We're back, man. We are so back. Let me see. I know someone power chatted, sent in a power chat. Let me see about pulling that up for the messages because I don't have the Streamlab plugin, so I can't easily see it, but that's all right. I know Taffy, it was like Taffy who came in and he was doing that. So let me get that pulled up here because he sent in a nice super chat. But how's everyone doing? It's been too long. Dude, it has been too long since we've all hung out. It's been too long since we've all had a good time. So I'm just happy to see everyone, dude. It's super sick. Okay. All right. So we got our chats coming in. We got our events. I think it's the creator dashboard. Let's go. Dude, that was insane though. I was so angry. Okay, Taffy just sent a heart, a pine tree, and a water emoji. We love Taffy. He can be a little bit of a sussy guy sometimes, but we love him for that reason. I wouldn't have it any other way. But dude, let's see what y'all are saying in chat. Let's see what y'all are saying in chat and how it's all going and stuff like that. So we've got let's see, green screen doing great. Live from the wooded mountains shrouded in fog. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Dude, Boomer Tech doesn't even put it, man. Boomer Tech doesn't even put it correct, man. It's like it's on a whole different level. So I'm glad we're finally back. I'm glad to be on YouTube again too. I mean, I like Rumble and stuff like that. I'm still going to have it. I'm still going to use it. And, maybe I'll upload these streams here or whatever, but it's good to have this too. I just think it reaches a lot more people, and since we're not necessarily doing the edgy thing, we can still, talk about stuff, but what makes it a lot more even keel, I would say. Makes it a lot more even keel. So it's easy. It's more manageable that way. Hi, Sappy. How's it going, Birdman? Let's go. Miss the old bedroom background. Yeah, it's okay. But hey, we got to upgrade. We got to upgrade. We got to be better. This is a new era of content we're in. So we're trying to improve the content. We're trying to make everything look better. But I think this is a good look. Oh, and if you guys can, please show the stream. Please share the stream. In fact, I'm going to do that right now with the new link and stuff like that. Because I know some people are clicking on it and they're like, yo, the stream doesn't exist anymore. What went on? So let me just reply. New link. Let's go, dude. We're so back. We're so back, dude. Blessed Sasquatch County in the background. Salute. Yeah, I still want to get my background figured out a little bit more, but I think it should be good, man. I think it should be solid. Minion Thomas donated $100. Thank you, buddy. He said, we love you, Pine Sap. Side note, everybody should join the Angelic Warfare Confraternity. Dude, I couldn't agree more, honestly. Like, the Angelic Warfare Confraternity is really, really good. It helps you become like a young man and stuff like that. Helps you stay chaste, helps kind of keep your head in the game and stuff like that. And so you can't go wrong with it. You can't go wrong. It's a good thing to join, good group to join. But we're so back. So let's see here, man. We've got a lot to cover, a lot to kind of catch up on, man. It's been a while. It's been a while, right? Like Stained. Yeah, it's been a long time. I'm sorry for not streaming yet. I was trying to make a rule with myself that I would finish the video, but dude, video recording, I'm gonna do it, and it will be out this next week. I just it's a weird format, you know. I'm not really into like following scripts and stuff like that. That's why I feel like I'm better at the live streaming, because it's just I speak from the heart. I speak what's on my mind at a given moment, and I'm better kind of off the cuff. And video recording's weird, dude. I don't really like sort of the like very static nature of it, I guess you could say. You know, this is more like radio. This is more like recording sort of like a radio broadcast or what have you. And I feel like videos are far too scripted. So I don't know. I was kind of looking at some old iDubbbz videos for like inspiration, stuff like that. And I think I'm definitely going to do a lot more of a rough format. Not rough in terms of bad content, but just rough, like speaking off the cuff, speaking like how I would if I was doing normal live stream, because I think that's the best kind of content. Otherwise, you know, it gets a little loopy. It's just not it's not up to snuff. So that's more the goalpost. That's more where I want to go. But I think it should be awesome, dude. We've got a content renaissance brimming and stuff like that. Um, dude, it was really weird today. So there's been like a lot of different stuff going on in our circles. It feels like kind of the internet's been changing a lot, and you know, there's been different movements and kind of mimetic stuff happening, I think, in our circles. One of the things that kind of comes to mind is this whole interplay between like Gavin Newsom and JD Vance. That's very interesting because I think it's one of those things where, you know, JD Vance is everything that we don't want, right? He's everything that we don't want in a president. And I don't just say that to be like, dude, bro said iDubbbz is the inspiration. We're so good. No, listen, the old iDubbbz, right? Not the new stuff, not where he's boring, not where he's, you know, not up to snuff. We're talking about the old and the gold, right? We're talking about the old gold content. We're talking about the good stuff, not the old, you know, not the new crummy stuff, because he's not even funny anymore. It's like, I don't know. He cries all the time now, and he's like so cuckolded by his girlfriend that he's just not funny, you know? And now she's going back to OnlyFans or something because she doesn't have any good content. But you know, the thing with Vance versus Newsom, getting back on topic, is Vance represents everything that we don't want, right? If we thought that Trump was lame this time around, I mean, at least Trump could kind of rest on the laurels if he once represented something that we were all for and that we were all about. He doesn't have that anymore, right? He doesn't have that. And that's part of the tragedy of it, right? I mean, we voted for a guy who no longer exists. We voted for a guy who no longer is representing sort of our interests, what we're about, what's our MO, that sort of thing. And I think that's kind of the tragedy in really sort of this movement with Trump recently, right? It's like he's no longer the cool 2016 guy. It's no longer the mimetic 4chan esoteric memes and, you know, sort of like far right thought getting more integrated in the political mainstream. He's no longer this kind of Constantinian figure. He's just like a sad old man, right? But the difference with Trump versus JD Vance is Trump did once represent that for us. And that's why we looked up to him. That's why we thought so highly of him. That's why we tolerated a lot from him, right? But Vance was a never Trumper. I mean, Vance literally voted for Hillary Clinton, right? He voted for Clinton. He said that he would never support Trump and called, you know, all Trump supporters Nazis and stuff like that. He was this hardcore anti-Trump guy. And then when he signed on with the ticket to be the vice president in the 2024 election, it's not that he became more based. It's not that he became more cool. It's not that he, you know, suddenly woke up and decided to change his entire worldview. It's that Trump watered down the message. Trump watered down what we had originally voted him in for, right? And due to that fact, he no longer represents the sort of Iron Dawn that we had voted for. You know, he's Zion Dawn, right? He's this guy who is no aura. He's old. I mean, the Republican Party's full of like, you know, gay people and like Tom McDonald and, you know, porn stars, all these things that we were fighting against, all these things that we were very against in voting for Trump, and that we were even tired with the old Republican Party. But I think Nick said it best when we were reviewing the RNC thing, right? When he was reviewing the RNC event, the Republican National Convention. The stuff that they let fly this past year would have never flown before, right? The stuff that they let fly during the RNC would have never flown before. Even in 2016, when the Republican Party could not be more rhino. The Republican Party could not be more, zogged up, more controlled at that point, right? Because of that, it fundamentally represented that it has shifted so far left that we're in kind of a similar position to Canada. There's no ostensible difference between the Conservative Party there and the Liberal Party there. And there's no ostensible difference between the Republican Party here and the Democrats anymore, really, right? I mean, both are pro sodomy, both are pro abortion. Republicans may pay a little bit more lip service to restricting immigration, but it's like, you know, Obama managed to deport more people than Trump, too. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things, even if they want to throw some bones, what they actually represent is not at all what we want to vote for and what we want to support. And a lot of people are out here being like, well, how could you not vote Vance? That doesn't make any sense. How could you not vote him? Well, how could I not vote for somebody who represents kind of the death knell of the Republican Party, right? How could I vote for someone who represents a compromise on every single value we have fought so hard for and that the whole Trump revolution was meant to be about? I mean, the populism, the sort of I'm trying to remember the term that Hillary Clinton used for us at that time, right? The undesirables, right? We were the undesirables. We were the underdog. And it was all because we supported actually right-wing and conservative ideas. Now, J.D. Vance represents the death knell of that. He was a never-Trumper, and now his establishment with Trump represents the death of the Republican Party. And so the only way we're going to get out of this is not by continuing to vote Republican. The only way we're going to get out of this is by continuing to support essentially supporting actually conservative ideas and drowning out the vote if they're not going to support what we are about. You're not going to get a victory for actually conservative, actually right-wing ideals. Deplorables, thank you, not undesirables, deplorables. You're not going to get a conservative victory. You will never get a conservative victory if you're still voting for the people who represent the death knell of that, right? And so all these people who say, oh man, the Republican Party's cooked, it sucks, it's so horrible, blah, 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 right? But just keep voting them because we don't want the Democrats to win. Why? Why? What is the Republican Party going to do for us? I mean, J.D. Vance talked about expanding IVF. Is that pro-life? Right? He talked about, I'm going to get the normal gay vote. What does that mean? What? This dude claims to be Catholic. And he's saying all these things that make him sound like a Democrat from even 10 years ago. Forget 90s Democrat, a Democrat from 10 years ago. I mean, heck, Obama sounds more conservative in some clips than he does, right? So what do you get continuing to vote for someone like that? So the left doesn't win. Well, the left's already winning if you continue to vote for the guy who represents really everything they're about. Maybe driving at the speed limit, sure, but it's still going to end up in the same spot. Look, if I'm driving the speed limit to the same spot, I'm going to still end up in the same location, right? And that's how the Republican Party is. So people out here trying to shill and say, well, it sucks, but we just got to vote red or we're dead. No, I'm sorry. We're not doing that anymore. We have to drown out. We have to drown out the votes for the Republican Party. If they don't represent our ideals, we don't vote for them. It's just that simple. There is no reason to vote for people who do not represent the faith. There is no reason to vote for people that fail to represent actually right-wing and conservative ideas. There is no reason to vote for someone who's going to bring in a ton of H-1B migrants and replace all our jobs and still support mass immigration. It's still the same victory for the left. It's still the same victory. And so the Newsom 28 trolling and stuff like that is incredibly effective. Because you have all these MAGA boomers and stuff like that being like, they're the real party of homophobia. Call me Democrat then. Call me a Democrat at that point. Okay. Oh, they're the real homophobic party? Okay, then I'm a Democrat now. Oh, they're the real, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to vote Democrat now. Right? Guys, we're actually the real leftists. The thing is we're actually the real liberal party. We're the classical liberals. We're the 90s Democrats. Yeah, that's not what I voted for. I actually didn't vote for the 90s Democrats. I voted to have an actually conservative party in this country. And I didn't vote in 2016. I wasn't old enough, right? I was still a kid, right? I was like, I think it was 15 or something when the election happened. Yeah, it's 2016, so I was 15, right? But here's the thing with that. I did at that point join the Trump revolution. And because of that, I did vote for him in 2020 when I was old enough to vote. But the thing about it is that I saw the writing on the wall already after 2020 when the momentum slowed down, when there didn't seem to be anything that the right was offering besides, look, guys, Joe Brandon peed his pants. Isn't that crazy? Joe Brandon peed his pants, guys. Let's all laugh at him. Oh, bumbling Biden. Ha ha. Yeah, that's funny. Okay. Yeah, real hilarious. Oh, yeah, an old man is old. We're all clapping to that one. That's a funny bit. What are you going to do for this country? What are you going to do for this country? What are you going to create for this country? Right? Nothing. You haven't done anything. You betrayed the very you don't understand. Vance is the crypto integralist. Yeah, that's so true. Guys, he has Saint Augustine as his patron saint. You guys, you don't understand. He went to a Maronite parish once. That means he's a secret TLM goer, tradcath he's gonna usher in a whole revolution. Give me a break, dude. I mean, talk about fell for it again. And this is the other thing too. Look, there's guys who cover the political side of stuff. I'm not up to snuff on that. I don't follow the news as regularly as everyone else or what have you. But I am the theological guy. And I can say that as someone who does follow the theological side of politics, Catholics in this country need to stop being so easily baited by the Republican Party. Can we just say that? I mean, Catholics in this country are so like childish when it comes to sometimes being baited by the Republican Party. Like the Republican Party will just like put out like a little prayer thing and we're like, we're back, guys. We're back. Total Catholic victory. We're back. We had a victory. No, we didn't, dude. What are you talking about? There's still abortion going on. Still Adam and Steve out there. There's people who hate our religion who are still controlling our government. Oh, but dude, Trump posted up next to Our Lady Guadalupe. We're so back, bros. Do you understand that do you understand that they understand that you are a voting block? And if they say and do the right things and they jingle the keys in front of you, look at the keys, right? They get your vote. They get your vote. That's how it works every single time, right? They get your vote, and then you're still baited into believing that they are going to do something for you when they don't care about you, dude. I mean, can we just establish that? They don't care about us. What was that old beef with Kendrick and Drake? They not like us? They're not like us, bro. Okay? I don't drink adrenochrome. They do. I'm not, they're on like Ozempic and adrenochrome. They're on some cocktail with Ozempic and adrenochrome, right? They are not like us. And the more you keep falling for their propaganda, the more you are going to be a good little foot soldier for people who don't care about Catholicism. Even if they convert, even if Marco Rubio, you see him posted up at mass or whatever, it doesn't matter, dude. That's politics. That's what people do. That's what people do to win elections. That's what people do to, essentially like Calf Boy. I love Pine Sev so much. I love you too, buddy. That's what people do to win elections, right? They go to a voting block that they know they can appeal to, and if they say and do all the right things, well, there you go. There's your voting block right there. You won the election. Happy now? Oh, I did all the right things. I won, guys. Right? They know how this works. They've known how this works for a long time, dude. They're not stupid. They're evil. Yeah, they're foolish, but they know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. Dude, that Trader Joe's green tea is so good. They know exactly what they are doing. And it's tough because, like, the boomer Catholics in this country, I'm a little bit more tolerant with because it's like, you're a boomer. Okay, you're old. You're not up to snuff. I know you're not reading theory and, digging on X all day or whatever. I get it, right? I'm more than aware. It happens. They're, bless their heart, they're old. They're going to Cracker Barrel. Their biggest political victory is the Cracker Barrel logo shifted back. That's the biggest political victory that they're going to achieve. Yeah, you're right. You're right, Grandpa. The libtards are angry, so let's get you back to the retirement home. You know what? You're right, Grandpa. The libtards, total libtard destruction. The SJWs are destroyed. They're angry. Let's get you back to the retirement home. Look, they're an old generation. They don't get it, right? So I give them a little bit of a pass. But the amount of, and dude, honestly, millennials are the worst. I mean, every Gen Z Catholic I meet now gets it. They get a lot of things. I mean, look, you meet most Gen Z Catholics, it's like about 5 seconds, and then it's telekinesis. We all figure out we're on the same wavelength, right? There's a couple outliers, but most at least Gen Z Catholic men are on the same wavelength, at least in my experience, right? Type 2 Novus Ordo is a real thing. It's not even a bit. It's like actually a real thing, okay? Type 2 Novus Ordo goers, that is like a real actual phenomenon, right? So we're all squared up on that front, right? But we're all Gen Z, and that's why, right? We all get it. We're all up to snuff. We understand, who's really running things, what's really going on. Millennials are the worst. Millennials are so awful, dude. They are the most politically, like, illiterate group I can see. And Catholicism, I'm not digging on you, bro. You're up to snuff. We love you. And we love Beardson too. Beardson's a millennial too. So this isn't all millennials, but this is a lot. This is a lot of millennials. And they're the same people you see on like r/Catholicism or whatever being like, guys, I think the political rhetoric's been a little extremist recently. That's going to scandalize some liberals. Guys, is that really spreading the gospel, talking about conspiracy theories? Actually, it is. Actually, believe it or not, yeah, it is actually spreading the gospel. It is actually evangelization. But guys, you were mean to someone, and that's the worst sin. You were rude to a liberal, and that's the worst sin. Never forget that, right? And so it's one of those things where, the millennials watching, right? I know, I see you guys in the chat, okay? Listen, I'm not talking about you, okay? Not all millennials. I'm making a generalization. But the fact is that the reason I'm harsher on them is you grew up in the age of the internet, dude, okay? You grew up in the age of the internet. You're not like a boomer who it's like, the internet to you is still this like magic box full of wires and electricity. It's like, the caveman first discovering fire, right? They're like, Gruk see wire box and libtards owned. And it's like, yes, go listen to your Tom McDonald, okay? Grandpa, we love you. Go listen to your Tom McDonald, all right? We love you. We appreciate you. Yes, total SJW victory. Go watch those 2017 SJW cringe compilations. We love you. But millennials grew up in an age where they should know better. There's really no excuse. You guys did grow up in an age where you should be literate when it comes to politics. And I don't mean that you have to be red-pilled or super knowledgeable on every single little nook and cranny of politics out there, right? Nobody is. right? Very few people are. But when we get to the heart of the matter, when we get to the heart of the matter, when we get to the heart of the matter, right? And we see everything going on. If you are not aware that someone like JD Vance is taking you along for a ride to get your vote, and that this whole performative escapade we saw during the 2024 election of, guys, he was talking about seed oils, we're so back. Oh, Vance was talking about seed oils, that's awesome. Patriots in control, right? If you don't see how that's performative, and that's how they win votes, and that's how they get your vote, and it enshrines a total Republican on the throne forever amongst, faithful Catholics, you're not seeing the bigger picture. You're not seeing the bigger picture. And so that's why the Newsom 28 meme is so effective. It rage baits these people. It gets these people to think. It gets these people to understand, like, we really are not a conservative party anymore, and that's a problem. And if the whole party has to burn down, so be it. If we have to start from square one again, start from scratch again, so be it. But that's what's got to happen for us to actually get a conservative reaction in this country. Because it's not been working with, I'm going to vote red or I'm dead. That's ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. That has been what has been killing this country for 30, or heck, more than 30, like 40 to 60 years now. William F. Buckley, Ronald Reagan, all these guys, they killed actual conservatism. It's sad because people don't know. Let's look this guy up. I want you guys to do your homework on this dude. Listen, if you're not politically inclined, that's fine. I totally get it. Not everyone wants to read. You know me, I'm a big book guy. I love my books, dude. Books are my forte. I love books, but if you don't know who Joseph Sobran is, right? You need to read up on him. If you don't know who Samuel T. Francis is, you need to read up on him. If you don't know who, everyone should know Pat Buchanan. I mean, come on, right? But if you don't know who Pat Buchanan is, you need to read up on him. These were the guys, right? These were the guys who got kicked out of the right from Reagan and William F. Buckley. And there's a whole video I can do and make on that, and I plan on doing it because, some people might say, well, how does this affect? I'm just Catholic, dude. I'm not interested in politics, whatever. This affects you actually a lot. William F. Buckley, with his victory in the American right, essentially ushered in a sort of watered down Catholicism in the American right. So when you see JD Vance and you see Marco Rubio, and yeah, they do the photo shoot at Mass. They go to Mass, they do the photo shoot, you see them praying. Oh, base guys, they go to Mass, they're a Mass-going Catholic, their kids go to a Catholic school, right? That's William F. Buckley conservatism. That's William F. Buckley conservatism. That's the photo shoot, it looks all pretty, it looks all nice, but guess what? They don't support any Catholic values. You want to ban contraception? Never going to happen with them. You want to limit, you want to limit the prevalence of homosexuality in our society? Not going to happen. Zip, zero. They're actually probably going to vote against it. You want to stop abortion and be pro-life? Forget about it. They are never going to give you pro-life victory. Emperor Milk said it in chat. It's performative. It's performative Catholicism. It's Catholicism that looks really nice on a bumper sticker, looks really nice on a sign in St. Louis, right? Looks really good in a TV advertisement or a YouTube ad. It's not real, okay? It's not real. These people don't actually represent the faith in politics. These people don't actually go out of their way to represent a Catholic ethos in American politics. Do you know why? Because they kicked all the actually Catholic dudes out. They said, you're offensive, you're incorrect, you're anti, certain group and stuff like that, you can't be in politics anymore. Sorry. Sorry, we're going to actually write a book about you, slandering you and dragging your name through the mud so that people won't read your books. And you have to go to conferences in the early 2000s and 90s that are like barely attended and stuff like that. You have great ideas, but we've basically locked you out of the establishment. That's who won the American right, the gatekeepers. And what's funny is James Lindsay, I never know. I think it's James Lindsay. James Lindsay and Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro and all these guys that you loathe so much represent that reaction to actual conservatism. And Pat Buchanan's such a likable guy. Look, they'll sometimes throw a bone his way. They'll be like, yeah, maybe, I'm trying to remember Pat Buchanan's book off the top of my head. I think it's Death of the West. I was starting to get, Death of the West. Okay, I did remember it correctly. I want to make sure that wasn't Spangler's book, that I was conflating it with, Oswald Spengler's Decline of Western Civilization. But yeah, The Death of the West, right? Classic. Most actually conservative people that's on their bookshelf and stuff like that. I actually still need to buy it, but I do have his book on World War II, and that's a very good one, right? So they'll throw a bone our way. They'll say, yeah, Pat Buchanan's a pretty good guy, and he had some good things to say, and XYZ and ZYX and all that kind of stuff, right? All that pretty stuff. But here's the thing. Okay? They don't represent, and they will never actually allow for a true conservative reaction. If Pat Buchanan tomorrow, which, he's too old at this point, right? But if Pat Buchanan was 20 years younger and he was running for, Senate, Congress, whatever, right? A political office, they would give him the Thomas Massey treatment. They would give him the Thomas Massey treatment in a heartbeat like that. They'd be like, this guy's evil. He doesn't shill for Israel. He's not, really with the interests and stuff like that. We're going to gatekeep him out. We're actually going to try and replace his seat with someone who's more up to snuff with what our party wants. That's the treatment he would receive. So again, he's old enough now that and he doesn't need this treatment. He's a sharp man for his age, right? But yes, Grandpa, we love conservatism too. Okay, so go back to your corner. Grandpa, yes, we love Russell Kirk too. Russell Kirk is awesome. We're not going to repeat his comments about, conservatives confuse the capital of America with Tel Aviv versus Washington, D.C. We're going to knock that one out. But, we'll wheel you back to, you've lived a long life. You helped Reagan out. We love Reagan, right? That's what it is. And so all this is to say is that if you want a Republican Party that represents the heavy lifting and the sacrifice that, again, Joseph Sobran, Pat Buchanan, Samuel T. Francis, Russell Kirk, actually conservative voices in this country fought, bled, and died for, you can't vote J.D. Vance. If you vote J.D. Vance, you are only resurrecting the ghost of William F. Buckley. Look at this lizard person right here on my screen. That's whose ghost you're resurrecting if you vote for Vance. This slimy, fake conservative who locked out any actually Catholic politics in this country. That's who you're voting for if you vote J.D. Vance. His ghost and Ronald Reagan and Bill Kristol, because I think Bill Kristol passed away, right? I don't know. I'm not a political guy, but Bill Kristol, all those guys, all the neocons that you hate so much and you loathe so much, guess whose ghost haunts the Republican Party with J.D. Vance? And you know what? It's even worse than that. because we're going to watch a little video. I'm actually curious real quick. Let me see if, Chad Champion did make a great video on JD Vance and the Teal Network. Let me see. Did he post it on Rumble? I got to give him a shout out for that video. That was a really good one. Let me see here. Because, dude, if it's on Twitter, man, I hate pulling up Twitter on browser, but I'll do it. It's worth seeing. It's a good video. It's a good video. We gotta give credit where credit's due. Chad Champion, Teal Network. No way! Okay, he uploaded on YouTube. Let's go. Let's flip and go, dude. That's what we're talking about. Irving Crystal is Bill's dad. Thank you, House Leotardo. And here's the thing: like I say, I said this before, and someone once confronted me. They're like, "Well, why don't you do the thinking for yourself or whatever?" I don't need to. Nick has got me in terms of politics. It's something I gave up on a long time ago because here's the thing: it's like I don't want to read news articles all day unless it involves the church. Like I'll read Catholic news agency articles, the Pillar, whatever, till I'm blue in the face, and I'll do the reporting on you guys for that side. But I'm not interested in reading like MSNBC or trying to like figure out these networks or whatever. I'm gonna leave that to the experts. All I want to do is act as a conduit for that information in a Catholic context, because I think that's important, right? What we have to do is we have to take that information and synthesize it for a Catholic audience, because I've got my feet kind of in both worlds, right? I mean, there's some people who are not groypers who follow what I do and stuff like that. And, I want them, even though they should be groypers, but even though they're not, I want them to watch a stream like this. I want them to watch a video that I make and come away with it and inform people in their parish, people in their community, not because I said it, right? Anyone can say it, but so that we can make Catholics in America, faithful Catholics in America, knowledgeable about what's going on. Because the biggest problem that I have in the life of the church today is there are a lot of Catholics who are really, really good people, salt of the earth. I would give them the shirt off my back, but man, do they not understand politics. And they see like a virtue in that. And that's really not virtuous. Look, there is a lot of virtue in not gorging yourself on the news all day or having your hope be bound up in certain political candidates, but there's not a virtue in being naive. We have to do away with that myth in America, because we have kind of we have adopted, right, this ethos. We've adopted this idea that in order to be a faithful Catholic in America, you just need to like tune out, and you need to not listen, and you need to not concern yourself with politics. And that's stupid, dude. That's absolutely stupid. You do have to concern yourself with politics. Politics affects the life of the church, whether you like it or not. And we're called to be stewards of politics in this country. If we're not stewards of politics, dude, we're just messing around. We're just wasting time. We're just wasting our breath, and we're not doing anything to affect this country. And so we have to concern ourselves with politics. It is one of the biggest concerns we should have. Right? Now, if you're a monk, Scholasticus said this in chat. If you're a monk, yeah, you support all the right ideas, but yeah, you're not going to be reading the news or what have you. But I see a lot of these dads. I see a lot of these like fathers and stuff like that. They're just like, I don't like politics, and politics is lame. Well, politics isn't done with you, my brother. I get focusing on the home, but this like Rod Dreher Benedict option crap where it's like, I'm just going to tune out, society's effed, society's screwed. I'm just going to tune out. I'm not going to concern myself with politics or what have you. Politics is going to concern itself with you. And when it does that, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty violent and horrible, right? So you have to get politically involved. Even if it's at the lowest, even if it's just trying to educate people. And I don't mean in like a weird autistic red pill way. Do you know who's really running everything? Do you know who's really, I don't mean being weird at Thanksgiving, right? But what I do mean is telling someone about like the Teal Network and being like, yo, Peter Thiel is a gay guy who hates the church. He hates Catholicism. He literally says that 80% of our cardinals are gay. That's just straight up a lie and a slander from Assad, right? Why are you going to support a candidate fielded by a gay guy who's slandering the church and who hates Catholicism and gives lectures on the Antichrist when he's like the forerunner to the Antichrist? I'm not saying you need to go into the minutia. That's not a concern. Most people aren't concerned with that. Most people are just focused on getting through their day, right? But at least cover the basics. At least try to explain these things to people. Because listen, Epstein list, that gets deep. That's a whole rabbit hole you can go down. Like all the stuff Mouthy Buddha has done with it and all, exposing Pizzagate and all that kind of stuff, which I'm glad to know he's Catholic. He's a great guy. I love that guy, right? You can go down a rabbit hole with the Epstein list, but most people, the average person you talk to, still knows enough about it to be like, Epstein's a bad dude and there's something going on. That should be the same reaction with the Teal Network. You don't have to be like super esoteric and, forwarding a bunch of Rumble videos to people or whatever. I'm not asking for that. Nobody is, right? Most people aren't going to watch those. But make people aware of the basics so that they can approach politics in the truly Catholic way. Because this cozying up to the Republican Party, dude, it's got to stop. I mean, goodness gracious, man. So many people's hearts are in the right places. But if I have to hear one more time, it's like, no, Trump's like actually our guy and he cares about us. Trump doesn't care about you, dude. He's on his third divorce and he's on the list. He's on the list, dude. He doesn't care about you. He's not Catholic. Right? It's funny. Like in the debate with Mehdi, that was the one thing we agreed on. Well, he's not Catholic. Yeah, you're preaching the choir, pal. Yeah, for sure. Trump is not a faithful Catholic. He doesn't care about Catholicism at all. He cares about it in so much as he can get a vote out of you. He doesn't need to do that now because he's gotten elected. But who are we kidding ourselves when we pretend like these people who are trying to win an election actually care about our faith, right? And look, here's the thing. You can care about the faith in a way where you're not directly Catholic. I'll give you a good example, like Dusty Devers, right? Dusty Devers, great, he's Baptist, right? He's not exactly where we want him to be, but he wants to ban pornography. He thinks premarital sex is awful. He wants to base our government on biblical values and stuff like that, right? That's what it's all about. So we would be stupid to not support someone like Dusty Devers because he's a good guy. He represents most of our interests, right? Joel Webbin. I mean, Joel Webbin's not running for any office, but like, I'll march with Joel Webbin in a pro-life rally or a pro-family rally any day of the frickin' week, man. He's a good guy. And those are the kinds of alliances that we need to make. Some of these hardcore, like Christian nationalist dudes who are Protestant, yeah, it's cringe. They're not Catholic, right? They need to become Catholic. But you got to make those alliances. Dusty Deepers? No, Dusty Devers. Listen, we ain't being sussy on this channel. Sometimes I can get a little zesty. We're not being zesty, right? We're being real for a moment. Dusty Devers, right? You can't be unwilling to make these alliances. Because a lot of people, and I get really annoyed at this. When I say I want to make this nation Catholic, people think it's like, oh, tomorrow Pine Soup's like there's got to be a trad Cath monarch or whatever. I'm under no illusions, dude. I know the state of this nation. I know what it's like. However, what I do think can happen, what I do think is very real, is a Caesar type figure and a post-liberal republic. Look, we've seen it all across the West. We've seen it in Poland. We've seen it in El Salvador. And yeah, I know those governments are zogged up and stuff like that. That's a huge problem. It's not the exact ideal we want. But look at Hungary. Look at Poland. Look at, I mean, you can even kind of take a page a little bit from Putin's Russia, right? Look at El Salvador. Look at just a few of those nations. Even, Malaysia's Argentina, kind of cringe. But, people see kind of a Caesar type figure in these people, right? They see a Caesar, they see a strong man who represents their political interests, who represents everything that they're about. And because of that, this is someone who speaks with the voice of the people and speaks for an actually right-wing interaction with our society, an actually right-wing response in our society. They're not perfect. They're very zogged out. That's a huge problem. That's gotta go. That's gotta go. That can't belong, right? I'm not saying they're perfect, but the fact that even they had victories means it is very real that we can have that kind of response in America, minus the Israel stuff, minus the control of Judaism over our government, right? It's very workable. It's very real, but we have to be willing to make the right alliances, and we have to be willing to politic in the right way. Otherwise, we're just going to sputter out. And so anyhow, I've been yapping for a long time, but let's get into this JD Vance Teal Network video Chad Champion made.
All right, imagine you're a Zionist billionaire trying to take over politics. How would you do that? Well, first, you need a crew. You need a thought leader, the brains behind the operation, preferably a fat, dysgenic, ugly Jewish retard. This is Curtis Yarvin. Second, you're going to need your agent, the man on the street, the front to your Zionist operation. This is JD Vance. Last, you need your mastermind, the man who puts together the crew, funds the operation, and is the man behind the mission. This is Peter Thiel. Curtis Yarvin is a computer programmer turned professional yapper philosopher. His early life was spent abroad living in Cyprus. His father, Herbert Yarvin, worked in the United States Foreign Service. Side note, for anybody who doesn't know, that's State Department talk for being a spy or United States agent. The Foreign Service, that's exactly what that is. You literally are a spy. To add on to his family history, his father was Jewish, his grandparents were Jewish, and they were also active in the American Communist Party. Curtis Yarvin went to Brown University, then got his PhD at UC Berkeley in computer science. After college, Curtis Yarvin goes on to work in several tech companies in the late 90s and throughout the 2000s. Silicon Valley is where he would meet people like Peter Thiel and JD Vance. In the late 2000s, Curtis Yarvin starts blogging underneath the name Mencius Moldbug in the new popular genre of NRX, otherwise known as neo-reactionary thought. Okay, if you're underneath the age of 50...
Wait. We just gotta go back.
NRX.
Dude, that gut's crazy.
Otherwise known as neo-reaction.
Listen, I'm a big guy myself. I'm working on that, but that gut is crazy. I'm not trying to be mean to this guy, but bro literally looks like he's on like 3 months of HRT. Can we just be honest? Like, bro looks like he's like 3 months in. Like, I'm waiting for like the Reddit post where we just have this clipped out, and it's like, what a beautiful trans woman, dude. Look at this beautiful trans woman right here. She is so brave, dude. She is so brave. The dude literally looks like he's trans. That's actually insane.
Thought. Okay, if you're underneath the age of 50, this was like the precursor to the alt-right. They were attacking mainstream political thought from the right. Curtis Yarvin skewed from the alt-right. He often declared them as stupid Nazis and criticized their quote-unquote peasant belief of anti-Semitism. NRX's main ideas were challenging democracy. If you boil it down, it's surface-level minarchism. They made the outrageous discovery that democracy is bad. This defines Curtis Yarvin's ideology, that the government should be run like a corporation, with the CEO as the head of the government. Peter Thiel funds Curtis Yarvin so he can promote, write, and make appearances on media platforms, shilling this 50 IQ ideology. The main thing to take away from Curtis Yarvin is, He presents himself
Dude,
and is
it's
regarded.
like actually insane because he didn't used to look like this bad. Like if we look up like Curtis Yarvin Young, he didn't used to look this bad. No, that's not him young, dude. Give me a break. Come on. That's him younger. He doesn't look bad there. But oh, okay, guy looks a little cooked. He doesn't look great. He looks like, so there's this town in Colorado called Breckenridge, and it's like where all the like hippies from the 60s, like the hippie retirees went to live. He does look like a guy who would try to like have like a crystal shop, but then there would be some pipes in the back that don't really look like pottery. It looks like they're used for some recreational recreational smoking or what have you, right? He looks like the kind of guy who'd be like working the counter at one of those places. But bro looks like a normal man here, right? He looks like a normal guy. Like if I saw him on the street, I wouldn't be like that guy's a freak or something like that. He looks like, someone said chopped but not yet cooked. I would agree with that. He looks kind of a little bit like a nerd, but he's not like awful. What is this, bro? I mean, it's like I can't tell what he's trying to go for. Are we going for like divorced dad or are we going for like I'm 3 months into estrogen? He's like a weird like mix between the two. It's like, are we trying to go for like I'm trying to be trans or I'm like a divorced dad and I listen to like, Stained and what's the band that everyone has been listening to recently? Oh my goodness, Creed, right? Creed. I don't know what he's trying to go for here, dude. Like this is bad. Like we got the Che Guevara graphic tee or whatever. Like this is awful.
As a right-wing intellectual, but his ideology isn't even right-wing or even conservative. It simply furthers him and his Silicon Valley associates.
Clarence, bro,
J.D.
that's
Vance is a
crazy.
freshman senator from the state of Ohio. On its face, J.D. Vance looks like your average right-wing patriot. Beard, sleeves rolled up, from the Midwest, supports Trump. But all these features are a part of a larger crafted facade. J.D. Vance is anything but these things. While being born in Ohio, he has spent most of his time in Silicon Valley. Vance first attended Ohio State, then he went to Yale, one of the most prestigious colleges.
Someone said in chat, Adam said the Slavoj Žižek dirty philosopher is his aesthetic. Okay, here's the thing about that. When you pull it off, it actually looks kind of cool because, look, there is kind of a weird. I know the exact character I'm thinking of. Look, there's a weird kind of like charm to being like L from Death Note. Like, you don't really care about your physical appearance. You're like, more concerned with what's going on up here. You're like mapping out, I don't know, Hyperborea or whatever in your head. Like every time you think it looks like a Hyperborea edit or it looks like the Oppenheimer, like the atoms connecting and stuff like that, that's fine. There's two things to pull off that aesthetic, right? I know I'm one to be talking, but we're working on that. You can't be fat, right? That's one. You can't be fat. Like, look, bro is skinny. He looks good like naturally. And the other thing is too, you have to have like some kind of aura to you. You have to have this like beautiful mind aura where what you maybe lack in like social interaction or like otherwise dressing up, you make up for in the fact that like you have a beautiful mind. Like people like want to look into your soul. Like every single time someone looks at you, they think that man is thinking things that I wish I could just have a window looking into his brain right now. Like every single time you like look into that guy's eyes, you're like, he is, pause, right? We're not being sussy, but like every single time you like look at that person, you're like, that dude is a deep thinker, right? That dude is a deep thinker. Whatever Yarvin's up to, he's not pulling that off. I mean, bro's overweight and even if he just got a better haircut and like lost some weight, maybe he would then look better, but the like overweight like graphic tee thing, you just look like a lazy douche. You just look like a lazy douchebag. Like you just look like you don't care and you don't want to be there. Like there's a certain look to not caring that is still like charming, right? He doesn't have any of the charm. And I think it's kind of the way you dress. Like generally I notice like sometimes some hoodies look good, some like kind of long sleeves like L has or whatever, that looks good. But the just like dressing in a graphic tee and like looking like a divorced dad, that's not a good look.
In America. After college, Vance moved to San Francisco, where he worked in venture capital under Peter Thiel's investment firm, Minthril Capital. Running theme you can see with all these members within this influence operation is they're all liberals, they're all from Silicon Valley, and they all worked with Peter Thiel in tech. J.D. Vance then entered the political scene with his book, Hillbilly Elegy, known as the voice of middle America, or the Trump whisperer, because a fat white-collar Yale graduate understands your average guy. In the book Hillbilly Elegy, he references several times that middle American whites are envious, and especially they're envious of Obama because he's smart, well-educated, and well-spoken. He also on several occasions said Obama was admirable and a great man. Throughout 2016, J.D. Vance was a never-Trumper, constantly criticizing Trump, not even voting for him. In 2016, J.D. Vance voted for Evan McMullen, a CIA agent who ran in the 2016 election as a third party. In 2022, he completely reversed his positions for a Senate run. With funding from Peter Thiel, he came out vocally in support of Trump, and was regarded by the media as one of the most right-wing Republicans. Then he changed his appearance, donning flannels for his campaign. He grew out a beard, just to show how in touch he is with your average person. J.D. Vance is especially dangerous because of his unequivocal support for the belligerent state of Israel. He recently spoke at the Quincy Institute, an anti-war foundation. There, in light of Israel committing a genocide in Gaza and alienating itself and the United States from the world, he said, it is actually America first to support Israel's genocide in Gaza, and we should fully support and aid Israel's genocide against the Palestinians. To summarize J.D. Vance, he is the Trojan horse of this Zionist Silicon Valley operation. He parades around as a hillbilly Trump supporter. He is the so-called voice of white America while being a tech bro married to an Indian with Indian kids. J.D. Vance poses a genuine threat because he is one of the top choices to be on Trump's ticket in 2024. And with this power, he'll be able to hire more people just like him to subvert the right wing.
I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like JD Vance was grown in a lab, right? JD Vance doesn't have a personality of his own. He's changed his name like 3 different times. Hillbilly Elegy is like one of the weirdest books I've ever heard to. I mean, he literally like goes up to Mima or whatever and he's like, I think I'm gay. And she's like, honey child, you're not gay because like, or actually, no, she doesn't even say that. She's like, honey child, listen, whatever freaky, freaky liberal Baptist belief I have, like being gay is okay, sweetie. Okay. You ain't gonna burn because you're gay. And I'm like, what are we doing here, dude? Is this entire book about just posting your L's? Like, you hate being white and you're gay? That's like a crazy self-report. Like, okay, I would have more respect for JD Vance if he wrote like some ridiculous crap in the book. Like he was like, yeah, and then there was this like one time where I saved a school bus full of children and I was in the military and I saved my entire platoon from throwing a grenade back at the enemy when they threw, like some crap like that, right? Like if he made up cool stories, I would respect him more than just posting his L's that openly. Like, here's the thing. There's being vulnerable because when you're vulnerable, you're vulnerable as if to make a point of like, I'm not doing this thing anymore, or like I've changed, or like this is what I'm struggling with, but I'm working towards something better. Right? Like that's a very important value to me. Like I've always tried to be vulnerable with you guys. I've always tried to be just like straight up and being like, hey, I don't want to pretend to be like a model Catholic or anything like that. I struggle. I put my, pants on one leg at a time and, my shoes on one string at a time. For some reason I have one string shoes. That's kind of weird, but I don't try to pretend to be anything that I'm not, right? Now that's not to be like, oh, I'm so humble or something like that, but like when you're vulnerable, you admit your faults, but you say that as if I need to become better. I need to be different. I need to become better than I am now. I realize I have some faults. I realize I have some things that aren't perfect, and I want to become better as a result, right? That's being vulnerable. I think we've read, I mean, St. Augustine was vulnerable in Confessions, and that's why that book made Western civilization. I mean, he was just real. He didn't pretend to be something that he was not. JD Vance is not vulnerable in Hillbilly Elegy. He's just gay. Like, he's just posting his L's the entire time. And it's one of those things where every single time he gets into some new weird thing in his life in that book, it's like not so much as to say like I struggled with this thing and here's how I got over it, right? It's as if to say like it's good that I have this L. It's good that I went to Mima and thought I was gay or that I hate white people. Where's the like where's the joy in that, dude? Like I'm looking at you like you've got two heads. You're a freak. You know, I don't admire that in the slightest. Again, I would prefer if you just made up some silly story about how like you saved your entire platoon in the Marines or whatever. Or, you know, you like lifted a car single-handedly off a child that it ran over, right? Posting that you're gay for 300 pages is just an L. That's all it is. It's not being vulnerable. It's just being literally like a homo, you know? I can't respect that, dude. That's crazy. When is Dasha coming on stream? Dude, I can't stand that chick. Dasha, I'm gonna just say Dasha, like Mrs. Dash, you know, the seasoning that like your mom used when, you know, she'd make chicken growing up or whatever, right? Mrs. Dash, Dasha. Um, she is so annoying. She is so annoying because she became like Catholic, like I think like a year or two ago. And it's one of those things every single time I've seen her like write anything about Catholicism, it is like the most milquetoast, like you do not know what you're talking about right now. Like she's trying to be like a trad or something, but it's like she read like one headline from one article 5 years ago about how Vatican II's bad or whatever, and suddenly she thinks she's a regular old Saint Catherine. She thinks she's a regular old, you know, Saint Edith Stein, right? Like she's gonna write these tomes on theology. She knows nothing. I mean, she gave one of like the worst takes I've ever heard on like the mass and the life of the church, and I'm like, can you just shut up? Like, I don't want to listen to your like your awful take. Go to mass, get pregnant. What are you like 30 or something? It's like go get pregnant, go have a kid. I'm literally like with Dasha, I'm literally like that character from Smiling Friends where, you know, Pip bumps into me. I'm like, "Oh dude, what the fuck, man? Dude, you're so old. Where are you? Where's your kids? Where's your husband? Go find your kids, bro." And like everyone at the party's laughing. That's how I am to Dasha, dude. Like you're old. Like you don't know what you're talking about, right? Don't try to pretend to be something you're not. Let's see, her Jay Dyer debate. Dude, I disavow. Like she does not represent Catholicism at all. Like literally disavow that video. And again, like Dyer, like I don't have any beef with Dyer, but let's be honest. Dyer chooses people that he knows he can like easily dunk on or whatever, or don't know their faith or something like that, because he just wants to win every debate he's in. When someone actually comes to him and they know their faith, it's miserable for him. He loses. But you know, when someone like kind of, you know, like her just says these like out of pocket things, they look dumb, right? That's why Tim Gordon won. Still haven't watched that debate, by the way, but that's why Tim Gordon won, dude. So she's a Bobby Altoff of Con Inc. Yeah, that's so real, dude.
Peter Thiel is the nucleus and creator of the Zionist network. He is a venture capitalist, co-founding companies like PayPal, Palantir, the Founders Fund, and he was the angel investor for Facebook. Peter Thiel is almost worth $10 billion. The best way to understand Peter Thiel is to simply just listen to him.
You want to be, you want to be a one-of-a-kind company where it's the only one in a small ecosystem. You don't want to be the fourth online pet food company. You don't want to be the 10th thin film solar panel company. You don't want to be the 100th restaurant in Palo Alto. Your restaurant industry is $1 trillion industry. So if you do a market size analysis, you'd conclude restaurants are a fantastic business to go into. And it's often large markets large existing markets typically mean that you have tons of competition, very, very hard to differentiate. So the first very counterintuitive idea is to go after small markets, often markets that are so small people don't even notice them. They don't think that they make sense. That's where you get a foothold. And then if those markets are able to expand, you can scale into a big monopoly business.
Here, Thiel states how to create a monopoly. You must start.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I love F. Dude, F, I don't know who you are. You have to let me know you're at or whatever from Twitter. You're like cracking me up. I'm reading the live chat right now. You're like, I like Dasha's voice. It's so soothing. It's like ASMR. I don't know. I don't know if F's like a Chad champion head or something, but bro's cracking me up. Well, not that that would be a bad thing. I say that as a good thing. But like, I don't know, bro's cracking me up. I'm like reading the live chat right now. He's been great this entire episode. So guys, let me know in chat if I should make F a mod. I'm kind of thinking about it.
In a small market, dominate that market, then expand. You could use this practice in, I don't know, maybe supporting early on and speaking at the RNC for an up-and-coming radical presidential candidate, or funding several niche online creators like Bronze Age Pervert.
Bro, I'm sorry for distracting. Dude, don't apologize. Be who you are, dude. Okay, here's the thing. You come to a Pine Sap stream, I want you to be who you are. I want you to be funny. I want you to be silly. I want you to be sussy, dude. Bust it down sussy style, okay? I want you to be sussy. I want you to be silly. That's what we're about here. That's the thing. Like, when I started getting into live streaming, the one thing that I couldn't stand about like some like Catholic content creators, and I'm not saying I do this like perfectly or whatever, is just how like a lot of them can't be real and like joke. You know what I mean? It's always got to be this like, welcome to the Tweed cast. We're talking about is the Novus Ordo bad? You know, thumbnails like that, them doing this. And it's like if you make like, I don't know, like a sussy joke with your boys, or you know you're being funny or something like that, it's like they just can't take a joke, you know? Like it's like be funny, be funny, like cut loose, don't be so like uptight and serious all the time, you know what I mean? Like whoever said you can't be traditional, who you can't be a faithful Catholic and you have to be like just like dead as a doorknob, like you have to just be like deadpan, no laughter, no fun. Well, one time I made quite the zinger down at the wife guy convention. Everyone laughed. It was a knock knock joke. It's like, you know, I'm just kidding. We're just joking around. But it's like, dude, I don't like that. That's not how I am. That's not my humor. That's been my problem with dating too, dude. Like I don't know, like sometimes I've like met some of these like Catholic girls and like they're sweet as can be. You know, God bless them. They're wonderful and stuff like that. But it's like, they're just like, they can't have fun. Like they can't like joke or whatever. They act like if you like joke, it's like, you know, I've just, you know, committed another 9/11 or something like that. It's like, just have some fun, just laugh. And I mean, good, clean fun. I don't mean anything gross. I don't mean anything wrong or immoral, but it's like, can we really not like laugh and cut up a little bit? You know what I mean? All right. I'm modding F, dude. I got sugar high off 10 Smarties right now. Dude, that's crazy, dude. Bro got like sugar high off 10 Smarties. Okay. And let's see here. F is now a moderator. I love this guy. But yeah, you got to be willing to joke, bro. If you're not willing to joke and stuff like that, it's too much. I don't know. It's like I always feel like those are the guys who it's like they'll make such a big deal about like joking, but then like you learn like they're doing like a really bad thing behind the scenes. You know what I mean? Like it's like the like my whole thing is like I don't sweat the small stuff, man. Like if you're sinning or whatever, let's have a conversation about that and let's shut that down. But it's like making a joke or whatever, come on. You know, it's not a big deal.
Fascist bodybuilder who is a Jewish Zionist, and also everyone who associates with him in the Sovereign House.
Hold on. Boy's got some milk. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. I mean, bro's got some like A cups going on. That's crazy. And he's got the gunt too, dude. That's insane. That is a crazy build right there.
Who is a Jewish Zionist, and also everyone who associates with him in the Sovereign House. Or you could fund a plethora of political candidates in the 2022 midterms like J.D. Vance, Blake Masters, and former CIA agent Joe Kent. Or funding a autistic homeless intellectual like Curtis Yarvin so we can promote your ideology that promotes with your business practices and your Zionist beliefs. Or you could start and fund the Stanford Review with Bill Kristol, son of Irving Kristol, another Jewish Zionist. The Stanford Review is a right-wing news platform.
Okay, wait, that's crazy. I get he's his dad, right? Like, you know, your parents look a little like you, but like, bro, straight up, I'm not even kidding. Not Peter Thiel, but
the Stanford Review with Bill Kristol.
Bill Kristol, look at his face right here.
Of Irving Kristol.
And then look at bro, they literally took his face and like copy and pasted it. It's like if I use the Adobe Photoshop, like, you know, a cut function and I like put it on his body. That is insane. Like I've heard about like looking like your parents before, but like bro straight up looks like a carbon copy of his dad and it's like uncanny.
Another Jewish Zionist. The Stanford Review is a right-wing news platform at one of the most elite universities in America. Thiel is dominating all of these small political markets. Your average person would overlook these, but altogether it is one big, powerful propaganda machine. Peter Thiel is unlike most political donors. He is carving out a share in the American right on all levels: media outlets, political candidates, intellectuals, social media influencers. Thiel has funded and created a bottom-up influence network that rivals anything that has ever been achieved. Because of his prior...
I said bottom. That's crazy for talking about Thiel, bro. That's crazy. Talking about bottoms and Thiel, dude, that's insane. That's kind of crazy, though.
Experience in tech, he understands how to make a dominant political monopoly. This next part is the most alarming about this whole network. Palantir, Peter Thiel's company that operates in intelligence and contracts with the United States government. Palantir specializes in tech, AI, and communication. This is all jargon for being a CIA-fed company. In light of October 7th, Palantir announced they would hire more Jews to Palantir to combat anti-Semitism. The Palantir connection is worrying because of the business they operate in. They are an intelligence company who works for the United States government, run by a Zionist ideologue, and staffed by Jewish Zionists. Now I will pose a doomsday situation which might become reality. Peter Thiel is friends with Sam Altman. Yes, OpenAI Sam Altman. Matter of fact, Sam Altman was the one who introduced Peter Thiel for the video I showed earlier.
Peter was the founder of PayPal and Palantir and Founders Fund and has invested in most of the tech companies in Silicon Valley. And he's going to talk about strategy and competition. Thank you for coming, Peter.
Awesome. Thanks. Sam, thanks for inviting me.
Sam Altman is Jewish. He regards Peter Thiel as a mentor.
Dude, the way that he said that, Sam Altman is Jewish. It's like, that was a crazy delivery.
And a great friend. And they have collaborated on projects in the past. OpenAI recently announced a partnership with Apple so they can collect data and create a more efficient Siri AI. Now imagine a Zionist network having complete access to your Apple devices and constantly listening in on you. They could use this power to dominate American politics for 1,000 years. Partnered with AI, this is too much concentrated power in malicious hands.
Those that can master the technology will master capital. Those that master capital then generate the political change. They are the kind of disruptive political element. It matters quite a bit, actually, that the people that are programming the AI hate whites.
There we go.
Pretty scary stuff. You can hate whites for kind of anything, but if you hate whites and you run AI, they could kill all white people. They literally could do that. A rogue, woke POC, whatever, could kill all white people with artificial intelligence and robotics. It's a different world. People don't understand the danger. So it's very similar to, if you saw Oppenheimer, it's like the prospect of like the Nazis getting the nuclear bomb. This is like, we can't let the Jews control AI. I fear that they will, though.
To summarize Peter Thiel and this network, he is the godfather and founder of this new emerging right, which is trying to replace America First and Donald Trump.
Dude, Owen John said in chat, the old studio, I know, man. I know. I gotta say, I do get nostalgic for the old studio. It's weird. I'm a nostalgia guy. I love nostalgia. I'm like nostalgic for everything. Like, dude, those slot like I think some people call it slop, but like those like POV, you're growing up in 2008 and you just got home from the school bus and it's winter or whatever. I eat those videos up like nobody's business, dude. I love those videos. Like they just touch a part of my heart. But I'll say this, right? I I do love Nick's new background way better. I think it's very very professional. I think that the new studio is way better. It's not that the old background was bad. It served its purpose, but like the new studio looks great. And I think it communicates really sort of the professionalism that Nick's trying to go for. I mean, honestly, like it's weird. I not that I'm not trying to copy Nick or whatever, but I hope one day maybe I could like rent out an office space or what have you to kind of have like a nicer looking studio. I'm working with what I got right now, but I think even just having the green screen's kind of a little bit of an upgrade from what I did have before because that's the thing. It's like as I get older, when you're like 18 or 19 or whatever, like you can kind of get away with like some stuff of not being like the most professional or what have you, but like really I got is there a super chat link for the stream? Oh, sure. Yeah. I can send you the link. I'm not trying to just shill the super chat stuff or anything like that. Here, let me send it to you though. I'll post it in chat. Thanks for asking, brother. Anyhow, back on topic. We're getting in a stage now where there's more eyes on us, right? And after, all the Jubilee stuff or whatever went down, like this is a new era and this is something that we need to take very seriously and we need to approach content in a different way, right? It was one thing when we were in the past and we were a little bit more rough and tumble and not so put together and that sort of thing. And that's all fine and well, right? That's all fine and well, but this is a new era and I think that we need to bring about a sort of greater presentation to our content. We need to work harder. We need to make better quality content or what have you. And look, dude, it's tough for me. I'm the kind of guy, if there was a magic button I could press and I could just go on a rant and it could perfectly edit it or whatever, I'd be the first person to sign up for that tech. But I don't have that. So I need to work on my skills to like, kind of improve things, improve the streaming or what have you. And I think marginally it's gotten better, but it's going to continue to get better. We need to all work to create better and more high quality content. Because if we're not doing that, we just kind of stagnate and we fall into what any other group like the alt-right or whatever happened, whatever happened to them, right? I mean, they were paywalled on TRS. Their content stayed the exact same. They still treat it like it's 2018, and that's why they're completely irrelevant. Look, 2018 was 2018. Don't get me wrong, I'm nostalgic for that time. I love that time, but we are now in an era where we need to be more professional. We need to be more upbeat. We need to be more cut up and stuff like that. And if we're not doing that, if we're not presenting our best foot forward, we're not putting our best foot forward, we're just stagnating and we're becoming lazy and we're resting on our laurels. That was the one thing I wanted to always say. It's like, I never want to become the kind of content creator where it's like, well, Pine Sap used to make stuff and he used to do stuff, but now he just, rests on what he used to do. That's lame. That's lame. That means that's like Guns N' Roses, like Axl Rose getting fat, right? It's like, he can't sing anymore. It's not Guns N' Roses anymore. Maybe him, but the lights aren't on, right? And you can't treat content that way. You have to constantly be improving. G-Lat said in chat, Laurel or Yanny, right? Laurel, right? You have to adopt a Laurel mindset or else you're just going to stagnate. And stagnation is the death of any content creator. If you stagnate, it's so over, dude. Like, you should just pack it up. And don't get me wrong, like, people find their groove, and there comes a time where you do kind of stick to that a little bit. But there's a respect in that, right? Like the Nostalgia Critic, for instance. Like, I love the Nostalgia Critic. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but I love him, right? And there is a charm to him kind of keeping his same spirit with his videos. But I wouldn't say at the same time that he's stagnated. He has improved things. He has, gotten better mics or recording cameras or what have you. And it's like, if you're not doing that, you're just failing. Nobody wants to watch like an old streamer, an old cowboy just go live and be like, oh, remember when I used to do stuff or I was the hot new thing? No thanks, dude. That's lame. Many Groypers still in 2020. True. That's true, dude. We gotta kind of get in the right mindset of being more punctual, better, improving ourselves.
Everything this network touches is astroturfed and not genuine. Nothing from him or his benefactors can be trusted or taken seriously. On all levels, him and his people do not have the best interest for Americans. They only serve themselves and the state of Israel. We must root out and expose money interest and foreign lobbies in America if we ever want to be free and put America first.
The
So
end.
real.
Follow Chad Champion on twitter.com.
Yeah, dude, great video from Chad Champion. We love to see it. Oh, there's the stream in the bottom there. Yeah, great video from him, though. I think that's a great cap of kind of... So now you've seen from someone who could present it, clearly, the overall, like, makeup of what Teal's circle looks like, what Teal's network looks like. And JD Vance is the forefront of that. Now there's a guy... I think he actually reviewed the, the Jubilee video I was in, so that's kind of funny. But there is a guy by the name of Philion who I'm kind of a fan of some of the stuff that he does, and I'm kind of not a fan of all of it. Like, he did like this one video on like the Bored Ape NFT, and he's like, it's secretly like a Nazi thing. And I'm like, that's such a stretch, dude. That's insane. But he did make a really good video. I recommended this to a lot of people that I know IRL because I think it was just a very well put together video. It helped kind of introduce the topic of the Dark Enlightenment. And the Dark Enlightenment is the kind of ideology that inspires a lot of these PayPal Mafia guys. And at first, people think it sounds based like Dark Enlightenment, right? Like kind of reversing the Enlightenment. Like it's like this dark kind of aura, Anakin, Darth Vader, all that kind of, dark energy, dark woke, right? You're going in the Labubu. People think it looks good or sounds good just from the name alone. But this is actually dark. This isn't like when we say like we're evil, but like we're not actually evil. We support the right thing. We believe the right thing. We love God. We love our neighbor. We even love our enemy, right? And even if we try to have this like dark aura or whatever, when you sit down and talk with any of us, it's like, we're lovers, dude. We're like good people and stuff like that. We're normal people. This is like actually for evil and insane people. This is for people that I don't think you could write a comic book villain that could be this absurdly evil. And that whole Dark Enlightenment kind of ideology stems from this guy named Nick Land. And Philion will go into that in the video, and we'll kind of discuss it as we go along. But I think it really goes to show that there is this dark energy. I would even go so far as to say satanic energy around the JD Vance campaign and his whole circle that he associates with.
Me if I told you that there is a dystopian political ideology that treats the apocalypse as a gift. This philosophy exists both on the right and left and is based off a sci-fi novel. And currently, we are seeing the real-world effects of...
Oh my goodness, can we, just for a moment, someone mentioned in chat earlier, what the fuck is wrong with this guy's face? Like, what is with the sweat, dude? I mean, get someone... Get this man a napkin. You know what I mean? Get this man a napkin. Like, what is with the sweat? Dab your face, bro. Look, everybody like gets a little sweaty. When I was out in Las Vegas with Sean Kelly, bro, I literally had to ask his assistant. It's like, yo, can I just have like a little like, paper towel or something to just like dab like my brow? Cause it's like hot out here, right? It's like being on the surface of the sun. But like, I wasn't dripping. Right? I just had a little bit of sweat, right? On my brow. Bro literally looks like he like crawled out of that, when you think of the Matrix movies, that those pods they're in? He looks like he just crawled out of one of the Matrix pods. he looks like he just crawled out of the Matrix pod or like the cloning vat, and he's like, I'm ready. I'm ready to initiate my evil plan to take over the world and usher in the dark enlightenment. It's like, how is this guy not a forerunner to the Antichrist, dude? Like, at this point, it's so obvious that he is. This is insane. I mean, bro's oiled up like WWE. I hope he's not oiled up for a different reason. I mean, you know, we all know what goes on in that community, but bro, like, clean up your fucking face, man. That's insane. That's actually crazy.
Technocrats and extremists who adopt these principles. Accelerationism is stepping on the gas of a technocratic capitalistic society. Technocratic meaning a society driven by technology, dominated by powerful oligarchs. It's no secret our modern society adopts some of these principles. An example of this is global warming is happening, let's make it happen faster. Accelerationists believe in taking on any consequence as a result of pushing through to the next phase. This is through production, industrialization, and constantly advancing no matter the cost. In other words, fully unleashing capitalism to create a utopia. The earliest ideas of accelerationism in philosophy and politics were due to French Marxists in the 1970s. In 1972, philosopher Deleuze and psychoanalyst Guattari published Anti-Oedipus and explored the idea of capitalism and how it has the ability to liberate and oppress, but wanted to go still further. In 1974, Lyotard, in his book The Libidinal Economy, states that capitalism was also enjoyed by those whose lives have been accelerated. To him, the system of capital is, when all said and done, natural. From 1987 to 1998, a Warwick professor named Nick Land created accelerationism based on a sci-fi novel called Lord of Light. Nick Land was and still is an absolute mad lad. Nick Land was known for giving fantastical lectures, spewing out buzzwords, climbing over chairs, laying on the ground making guttural noises from his throat, anything to get a strange reaction from his students. In 1995, he founded what is called the CCRU, or the Cybernetic Culture Research Unit. This can be described as an experimental cultural theorist collective, or a really weird academic think tank. Nick Land created the CCRU with Sadie Plant, a fellow professor at Warwick. Mark Fisher, student of Sadie Plant, was also a founding member. The CCRU covered topics ranging from futurism, technoscience, philosophy, mysticism, numerology, complexity theory, and science fiction. This would begin his descent into madness. He became a satanic cultist, fled to China, and coined the term the Dark Enlightenment. Mark Fisher would ultimately distance himself from Nick Land and would become a left accelerationist, focusing less on capitalism because he thought of it as more of a hamster wheel of production than any actual progress. To him, capitalism was a disappointment to accelerationism. Central to accelerationism is the idea of hyperstition. According to an interview between Delphi Karstens and Nick Land, hyperstition is best described as a positive feedback circuit including culture as a component. It can be defined as the experimental technoscience of self-fulfilling prophecies. Superstitions are merely false beliefs, but hyperstitions, by their very existence as ideas, function casually to bring about their own reality. Capitalist economics is extremely sensitive to hyperstition, where confidence acts as an effective tonic, and inversely. The fictional idea of cyberspace contributed to the influx of investment that rapidly converted it into a techno-social reality. No, I hear ya. I'm just as confused as you. There are 4 elements of hyperstition. Number 1, it is an element of effective culture that makes itself real. Think of the stock market. It can either go up or down depending on speculation. Number 2, it is fictional. The future is made up, but it's actually real because of society's visions of the future. Think of Brave New World, 1984, Terminator, iRobot, or even Ex Machina. Number 3, hyperstitions are coincidence intensifiers. This means that accelerated fictions come true faster. An example of this would be capitalism. Technology increases and continues to feed back into itself. New technology means faster progress, which means more new technology. Number 4, hyperstition is a call to the old ones. On the other side of tech exists nature itself. All of this sounds like a sci-fi novelist's wet dream. Technology is the
So just to branch for a moment. So hyperstition, kind of easily understood, is the idea that something from like sci-fi, right? All that dystopian stuff that we hear from sci-fi, the weird technology. An easy modern example of this is Black Mirror, right? Everyone uses the reference of Black Mirror to talk about how dystopian the future could be, but Black Mirror would be an example of hyperstition, where you see these systems that are being put in place, you see these systems that are being used that are actually being implemented in real life in the fictional show. You know, the show first proposes them and says, this is what could happen, this is what possibly could be the case, right? This is the future we want to, prevent or we're scared of. And then it's like 5 years after that episode came out. Because I remember when Black Mirror came out, I was in high school. We used to go to this in the Denver Tech Center. There was this pretty beautiful hotel, actually. It was, I think, like a Hilton hotel or whatever. I drive by it when I'm on I-25 sometimes. But there was this beautiful hotel we would go to. And I remember, I think it was my junior year, I was watching, man, what was the year that horrible Florida high school shooting happened? Where like David Hogg came from and stuff like that. That year, I was watching Black Mirror in the hotel room because there was nothing else to do. And I was just waiting for my next event to come up for Technology Student Association. And it's so uncanny because a lot of the tech from that show has become real. High school, my junior year of high school, when I think about it, was 5 years ago, or actually 6 years ago. Almost a decade, right? So 2018, right? 2018, I'm sitting in my hotel room and I'm watching the show and I'm like, wow, that's crazy, dude. Right? That's insane. Like all this tech coming out, only to then see it like 6 years later. Damn, if that was 2018, let's see. So February 2018, so 2018, that would be 7 years. Okay, so about 7 years, right? So 7 years ago, not even 6, 7 years ago, I'm watching all this stuff play out on the screen. I'm like, that's insane, dude. Like, I hope that's not the future we have. Guess where we are now? Right? Guess where we are now? We are now in that future 7 years later. We are now in that future where it is absolutely 6-7, right? Dude, okay. I didn't even intend to do that. 6-7. But first it was 6 years ago, now it's 7 years ago. 6-7. But that future I feared so much in high school, we're now in that future. And Vance and the Teal campaign, that's what his campaign is. It's not even Vance is a stand-in for Thiel. Let's be for real for a moment. He is a body double for Thiel. Thiel might as well be a skinwalker because he's puppeting that guy. Vance was grown in a lab. If Vance wins, everything that you see in Black Mirror is going to come true. All the social network stuff, all the robots controlling everything or not robots controlling everything, AI controlling everything, implementing this nightmarish 1984-esque, surveillance state. That's going to be what a Thiel victory ushers in. 2028, if he wins, you can say goodbye to freedom forever. You thought the Patriot Act after 9/11 was bad, where they could, tap our phones and our internet and all that kind of stuff? Welcome to that times 10, times 1,000. So the hyperstition of Black Mirror has already kind of come true, and it's only going to get worse. It is only going to get worse as time goes on.
Answer that humans have to unlock to find the truth. The idea here is that there's no need for a left or right when the true answer is technology. In fact, there will be no need to fight over policies when everyone's problems are simply solved because of technological advancements. Modern examples of people who would fall under the accelerationist umbrella would include Steve Bannon, chief strategist of the White House under Trump, Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal and Palantir, Mark Andreessen, the man who literally invented the internet in the form of Netscape, and Curtis Yarvin, aka Mencius Moldbug. Have you ever heard of taking the red pill? It's literally tossed around every single day on every corner of the internet. Curtis Yarvin, under the Harry Potter-esque pseudonym Mencius Moldbug, an alt-right technocrat blogger, coined the term in 2009, taking the metaphor from The Matrix. Man, going down all these deep dives just makes me so uncomfortable. But you know what does make me feel safe? Browsing the internet with the help of today's video sponsor, ExpressVPN.
Bro,
if you guys are anything
not
like
an
me,
Express. Okay, how is bro gonna have this like dark energy? We're hearing about hyperstition and Mencius Moldbug and Steve Bannon and the internet. But you know what's gonna keep you safe? ExpressVPN. By the way, Matt Kim, I promise I'm not paid to say this. I had the pleasure of talking to Matt Kim in Florida when I went on the Rift and stuff like that. He's a great guy, by the way. If you guys don't know Matt Kim, I don't really watch his stuff, but we talked a little bit and stuff like that. I know he does a lot of tech kind of stuff, more like VPN stuff, but his VPN is really good. It's I think it's vp.net. His VPN's really, really good. Yeah, I'm not, dude, LinkedIn is so annoying. But yeah, his VPN's really good, vp.net. Go check it out. It's like the only VPN that like doesn't, store any of your data or anything like that. Because all these other VPNs are literally owned by Israel and will, send your information back to them. Which I guess, like, if you're not doing anything that, like, you don't really care about your information. Like, I don't really use a VPN, to be honest. I don't really care. But, you're doing anything that you feel like you need a VPN for. Nothing illegal, right? But, you're looking up certain, like, information or what have you. You're looking up the dark enlightenment and you don't want people tracking you. Use vp.net. He's a great guy. We literally talked about family for like an hour. I love that guy. He's amazing. But how is bro gonna put an ad in the middle of this like dark video and stuff like that? Like that's insane, dude. That's crazy. Like that disrupts the whole flow.
Is that by connecting to one of their servers, I'm able to go into the ExpressVPN free. And thank you to Fully Actualized for sponsoring this video. Years later, accelerationism would then be fully actualized in the form of the Dark Enlightenment. Nick Land's ideas were expanded upon by Curtis Yarvin under the pseudonym Mencius Moldbug. The Dark Enlightenment is synonymous with
You did not have to post Lex Friedman. I know, dude, I know I look like Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman's not really a horrible looking guy. The one that really pisses me off is, who's that like gay Republican guy with the long hair? Not Scott Greer. It's like, is it Scott Greer? I don't know. Who's that like gay guy who wears like the cowboy hat and has the long hair? I hate that I have the same face shape as him, dude. Like he literally looks like my op. Like it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. Bro literally looks like my op. It's insane. And I like Scott Pressler. Thank you. Yeah, Scott Pressler. Me and Scott Pressler, we need to have like a creator clash type boxing event, right? For who is actually meant to have this like Anglo, this Anglo-French kind of look. I swear he must have like the same heritage as I do or something, because that's insane. His facial structure, like I learned, I think I'm like Occitanian. So it's like that southern region of France. So I'm making up for my ancestors likely being Cathars, right? Cathar heretics. But like, dude, I gotta reset my ancestors' legacy. The fact that they might have been Cathars, I'm bringing it back, okay? I'm paying my reparations by being Catholic.
The pseudonym Mencius Moldbug. The Dark Enlightenment is synonymous with neo-reactionaries, or NRX for short. Depending on what form of acceleration you're talking about, you may see it denoted like this. R/AC equals right-wing accelerationism, L/AC equals left-wing accelerationism, or even an offshoot such as Kaliak or Kali Yuga accelerationism. According to Kali Yuga accelerationists, we are living in the Kali Yuga, or dark times. And as you know by now, surfing the Kali Yuga means embracing the darkness, letting things happen, and even stepping on the gas. Not surfing the Kali Yuga refers to traditionalism, but this is an escapist answer to modern problems. On the spectrum, you have traditionalism and modernity. Traditionalism is an escape from modern times. Traditionalists want to live like civilizations in the past, and they define tradition as truth. It's simply hating the modern world and yearning for a return of the good days. I put good days in quotations because I think we've all read a history book or two. Modernity is the reality that we live in now, and capitalism is the vehicle that drives modernity. Accelerationism is one of the alt-right...
Okay, here's the thing. This is where Philion starts to drop off, and he's like, oh, traditionalism, right? Traditionalism, like the type of traditionalism that he's talking about, a more accurate term for it is perennialism. So what perennialism is it's this idea, it's very satanic, actually. It's not cool. It's not a good idea. It's extremely satanic. It's actually been condemned as a heresy by the church. I think it was condemned under like either Pope Gregory the 16th or Blessed Pius the 9th. But it's this idea, so it's not simply like returning to an old time. That's not bad. That's not satanic in the slightest. It's this idea that like all old or ancient religions in the world, or like all old philosophies, kind of have this perennial truth that runs through them. And we have to like go back to that perennial truth that runs through all these religions in order to truly live. And so there's sometimes some crossover with Catholic circles because, you know, Catholics don't like the current state of the modern world. But we don't like the current state of the modern world because the modern world has abandoned Christ, right? There's an explicit reason for why we don't like the modern world. And we also don't just like hate modern things to hate modern things. I mean, that's such a like gay understanding of reactionary thought, right? Because like Juan Donoso Cortez, you guys might not know who I'm talking about, but like Joseph Damast, Juan Donoso Cortez, oh my goodness, it's Nicholas Gomez de Valia, who's probably one of the best like modern reactionary thinkers. They didn't just like hate technology. They didn't just have this like blind hatred for anything that was new. It was rather that they understood that a departure from a Catholic world had resulted in all this chaos. And so what we needed to get back to was a Catholic world. None of them promoted the idea of like, we need to live in like 1305 and just that's where history ended. It was rather that we needed to return back to the eternality of the Catholic faith in order to influence and undergird our civilization. And that's what we need. That's true traditionalism, right? But what this kind of traditionalism is it's a heresy that, again, it's actually Freemasonic. Like a lot of Freemasons are perennialists and traditionalists. The reason why is because Freemasons actually believe that all religions point to this supreme being. They call him the grand architect, the supreme being. And it's why you can't be an atheist if you join a lodge, but you have to just believe in some kind of religion. You can't believe in Catholicism, right? Because Catholicism is completely antithetical to Freemasonry. I wonder why. But you can believe in any religion. And all these religions have like strains of truth that like point back to the supreme being, the perennial truth that runs through all religions. And in order to get this to this perennial truth, you kind of have to like engage in like esoteric rituals and thinking and thought. This is where you see a lot of them get into like Roscarianism. They get into kind of like actual esoteric rituals and that sort of thing. And so all this is to say is there's nothing based about perennialism. Perennialism is Gnostic. It's a complete abandonment of Christ, because it's even just an abandonment from Christ in the sense that Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. Any truth that other religions, other false religions have point back to Christ. And the truth in those religions don't make those religions good, true, and beautiful. There is only one good, true, and beautiful religion, and that's Catholicism. That's Christianity, right? And all the like bits of truth that's like in like Greek paganism or in Buddhism or Islam or what have you has to point back to Christ and Christianity, right? So it's one of those things where that's the inversion. You know, Satan can't create anything new, so he has to invert things. And so Satan takes the fact that there are these kinds of like scattered truths within these like false religions. And he says, no, what you don't understand is it's not Catholicism, dude. It's not Catholicism we have to return to. It's this perennial truth. Like maybe Catholicism kind of ties in with that. Maybe it kind of ties in with that, but there's this like deeper perennial truth that we got to get back to. And Catholicism can be like a means to getting to that, but it can't be the end. Whereas we understand that Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the end of our lives. And if he's not the end of our lives, all of this that we're engaging is for nothing. There's one more thing. We're going to continue the video that I really got to warn you guys about. In a lot of trad circles, there is a lot of perennialism. There's a good article I want you guys to read, and I wouldn't say that you need to boycott this book publisher that I'm telling you about, but please read what book you're buying. It's called Angelico Press. Don't get me wrong, I own a lot of Angelico Press books, like the Our Lady Psalter book is very good, the Blessed Dom Columba Marion reprints are wonderful, but they've also got some very interesting finds. Esotericism for everyone. I don't know about the Radiance of Being. The Ghostian Manifesto. Okay. I don't know about the Christian Gnosis one. That might be. The Meaning of Blue. Yeah, this is getting a little weird, right? And there was someone who wrote a really good article on this. Let's see here. Yeah, there's nothing Christian about esotericism. Give me a break, right? Article. Oh, it was like a Substack article or something. Yeah. Thomas Muris wrote a really good article, Occult Subversion of Traditional Catholicism. There's another article he links to. I think he links to it in here. Yeah, this is not okay. This is not okay. There is no... Christ is the way, the truth, and the life. Any truth that a false religion has is because it belongs to Christ. And the thing about it is, that doesn't make that religion true. We need to be clear on that, right? Like, just because Islam says that there's one God, that doesn't make Islam true, right? And you got to be very careful because now, to be honest, your average, faithful parish, this probably isn't an issue. But if anyone comes up to you and they start talking about perennialism or whatever, you need to back the fuck away. Like you literally need to like sprinkle holy water on yourself, and you need to get out of there, dude. Because it is actually dangerous. It will actually drag your soul to hell. Like these people are playing with stuff that they don't understand, and this gets into the like whole magic and occult rituals and stuff like that. That even if people want to like try to use Catholic sounding language to make it sound okay, it's not. You will get people who it's like in one breath, they're like, oh, Pope Francis was a modernist because, insert this like asinine point we've disproven a million times, right? That's why he was a modernist. But also, magic's not opposed to Christianity, dude. I literally had this guy on Twitter one time who'd like A-log me all the time for like defending Pope Francis. And then in the same breath, I'm like writing a tweet on esotericism and he's like, dude, nothing's wrong with esotericism. And anytime you confront them, they do the same subversive thing. Well, actually, that condemnation isn't really condemning what I believe. Listen, I'm doing a Catholic version of this. Anytime you have to do the whole, well, but is it really condemning what I'm doing? Is that document really condemning the magic I'm involved in? Is it really condemning the satanic rituals that I'm taking part in? I literally had someone once try to tell me that the Mass is like magic. The Mass isn't magic, dude. It's God's grace. It's not superstition and fairies and crap like that. It's God's grace. And so you're going to encounter these guys, and you got to get them the fuck away from you, because they will drag your souls to hell. Did God really say that esotericism is bad? Yes. Divinization, sorcery, all that kind of stuff, condemned in the Bible, dude. Open your Bible. I don't need any magic Gnostic book, the secret book of, no, I'm good actually. I'm perfectly fine. I'll stick with my Bible and the church fathers. I'll stick with the saints, the church fathers, the catechism, and my Bible. Thank you very much. I'm good. I don't need any magic book. I don't need any spells or esoteric. Oh, I'm going to acquire this information. I'm going to ride the Kali Yuga, and that's how we're going to own. How we're going to have the victory against liberalism, dude. We're going to ride the Kali Yuga. They will use your language to try and subvert you. Don't get me wrong. They will try to appeal to, dude, yeah, the French Revolution was so bad. But it was bad not because it went after Catholics. It went after the perennial philosophy we're all trying to fight for. Fuck that, dude. Get away from those people. They are evil. And so this is a really good article too. Observations on the influence of the occult in traditional Catholic discourse. This article, the Thomas Miras's article is very good. This is like S tier though. This is like the OG, like the one I was originally given about Angelico Press. And again, it's like, it's fine to buy I will continue to buy their books that are good. Like, they are a good book publisher for good faithful Catholic books, but like the weird perennialist stuff, avoid that like the fucking plague, dude. It will drag your soul to hell. I guarantee it. The banned book of Enoch. Yeah, dude. Anytime someone brings up the book of Enoch, I'm like looking at them being like, what's going on, dude? French Revolution was batshit insane. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Do you think there is any way to study it from a safe distance in the same way we read the Talmud? No. So I actually had a friend ask me this once. They were asking me about Kabbalah, right? And Kabbalah, for those who don't know, it's Jewish mysticism after the Second Temple period. So after Christ was incarnate and our Lord had been crucified and resurrected and ascended into heaven, in that post-Second Temple period, rabbinical Judaism, Kabbalah takes place, and that's Jewish mysticism, basically, to say it in the most simple way. And I had a good friend of mine once ask me, should I study it to know what they're all about? No. And I'll tell you why. The Talmud is one thing, because that's kind of like, and even then, be reading your Bible more than you're studying the Talmud. I know you know that, F. I know most people know that, but like, it goes without saying, don't be studying the works of our enemies more than you read the Bible or do prayer. Like, that's the more important thing. That's how we're going to win the fight against the devil. Studying evil books or what have you, that's not the way you win. It's through prayer and through really engrossing a life of grace within your soul by loving God and living out his commandments, right? That's how we win. But the difference with the Talmud is not magic. It's just like rules and how things should be done or what have you, right? That's kind of one thing. Kabbalah is like magic occultic shit. It's like you're getting into a whole different realm where when you start touching magic and demonology and all that kind of stuff, it can actually harm your soul. There was a guy, I'm not going to name drop his name. I think some of you might know who he is, but I've heard, this is the story from other people. There was a guy who used to be a streamer on Cozy, right? He's no longer really associated with this movement, but he studied a lot of that stuff. He was very interested in a lot of that stuff. And suddenly he got into like Gnostic stuff. He got into occultic shit. He was like posting things about the demiurge and all that kind of stuff. Stay the fuck away from that. You may think that you're really smart. You may think that you're really knowledgeable and that your faith is really deep and you're not going to be affected by that. It is spiritual pornography. All works like that are spiritual pornography. They will drag your soul into hell because no one is strong enough to resist the temptations and evils of the enemy. And I'm not saying that like tomorrow you open you open like Kabbalistic literature and you're gonna apostatize from Christianity. But it's just like what we eat, right? If I have a little bit of junk food here and there, it's not gonna kill me. I'm not gonna get diabetes or heart disease. But if I'm eating that all the time and I'm regularly consuming it, my health is gonna suffer. And your soul is the same way. We don't treat our souls like that enough, and that's why a lot of people out here are lost. That's why a lot of people don't believe and love Christ. It's because they treat their soul like somebody who regularly eats junk food. And so you have to avoid. I'm not trying to give you guys this lecture. You guys are knowledgeable. I think you get it. I'm not trying to lecture you. But I oftentimes do find out guys. I do pause. I find out guys. Sometimes I'm cruising and I go to the bat. No, I'm kidding. But I will sometimes be hit up by like guys who are just getting knowledgeable about the faith, just learning about what's really going on and everything. And they ask me the same question. Should I, read about Kabbalah? Should I read about esotericism? No. It is too dangerous. Your soul will not go unscathed. I don't really even read about that stuff. I don't read about demonology, right? Now, there are okay books to read about, like anything written by Father Gabriel Amorth, right? Like his biographies, those are fine to read. Like Father Chad Ripperger's books, those are perfectly fine to read. You're not going to get harmed from reading those. But like books like the Maleficis Maleficorum, like priests should be reading that book of demonology. You are not in a position to be reading that book. I promise you, you are not spiritually strong enough to be taking on that level of potential spiritual assault, right?
Right answers to getting out of the Kali Yuga, or the Dark Age. It is playing devil's advocate for a living and basking in it. These are small, vocal, insulated groups of people, which can be pretty powerful. Two individuals in particular, Sunny and Sonia, whose home is 4chan, created what is known as the Kaliak cult. This podcast describing Kali Yuga accelerationism was scrubbed from the internet and re-uploaded with 260 views. It is quite possibly the best example that this stuff does exist. And yes, I listened to the whole thing. If you were to ask me how deep this rabbit hole goes, I would say the 9th circle of hell, and I was in it. A Kaliak is someone who believes in everything regarding the Kali Yuga. If it sounds apocalyptic, it's because it is. To these people, modern times are so bad and estranged from tradition that we are living in an apocalypse or the Kali Yuga. This podcast is hard to get through, considering both the subject matter and cadence of the subjects. But they describe getting off on post-meta-ironic humor. In other words, never, ever, ever admitting that they're joking. And that is the joke. Your ability to do that is precisely the currency on 4chan. Over the course of an hour and a half, they describe their vision of an ideal society and characteristics of the Kaliak cult.
I do need to pause it real quick, because this is an important thing to hear about post-irony, and I do need you guys to listen to this. This is very serious. I got my serious hat on. I got my serious sign, my serious shirt. I'm the soy jack. I got my glasses on. So we got the serious hat and the serious shirt on. No, but jokes aside, be very careful with irony. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to piety signal. I'm not trying to be, I'm not doing any of that. That annoys me too, right? Be very careful with irony. It is an effective tool when properly used. And here's the thing, right? With a lot of our enemies online, they're not serious people. Irony is an effective tool when you're not dealing with people who are authentic. Because if I go out and I bare my heart and I'm just real about who I am, right? People crap all over that. They don't care, right? They don't care. The left doesn't care. A lot of these the sort of, liberal types or what have you, they don't care, right? They're journalists. They have made up in their mind that you are the enemy and you must be destroyed at all costs. So dealing with them in a serious way, don't, right? And I think Nick has done an excellent job of synthesizing that level of irony that is appropriate and healthy. But you can become what is called irony poisoned. And I've seen it happen to people before, and it's very bad. We joke about it, and like some people are like, oh, he's irony poisoned. And sometimes, people can play into the bit and it's funny, and they're just, posting like non-serious stuff in chat or, something along those lines, right? It's not a big deal when that happens. But I have seen people who have become so irony poisoned that they don't take anything seriously anymore. Nothing is real, nothing is authentic, nothing matters. All they have is their irony. It's kind of like being the cynic. They look at the whole world through this lens where they're the critic, right? Everything is to be criticized, nothing is sacred, everything is kind of subject to mocking, ridicule, laughter. And with irony, you should make fun of things that deserve to be made fun of. You should not be making fun of sacred things. Women. No, I'm kidding. You guys thought I was a wife guy for a moment there. No, I'm kidding. But you shouldn't be making fun of sacred things. Mary, Jesus, the church, the saints, holy tradition, holy scripture, and the teachings of the church. That's off limits. We don't joke about that. We don't make fun of that. That's not okay. And I will stand by that. I have no doubt there's people who'd come along and they'd be like, look, Connor, you're the soy jack. Look at how, you've got your serious hat on and look how serious you take Catholicism. I do. I take this dead serious. This is my life. And I don't mean in terms of content. I mean, Christ gave me my life back. I did not value my own life, and he gave it back to me. And from that moment on, I said, this is dead serious to me all the time. We don't joke about it. We don't make fun of it. You do not make fun of anything related to Catholicism. You can make fun of our enemies. You can make fun of how gay politics are now and stuff like that, but you do not blaspheme. You do not laugh at God. Sad thing is there are some people, even in right-wing circles, that do. And I do worry about it a lot. Because even though Philion is like kind of a concern troll, like a lib concern troll or whatever, he, like when I made that joke comment about women, he would actually probably be like, women are sacred. Don't ever make fun of a woman or something, right? Ridiculous. There is a lot of truth in that. There are people who embrace irony on such a deep level because of how evil the world is that it is hard for them to look outside of it. Because look, dude, we have all grown up in a post-feminist, post-sexual revolution, post-liberal world that has just chewed up and spit up young men. Young disaffected white guys and young men at large. And it's very hard to not be a cynic in that. When everything around you mocks you, degrades you, knocks you down and stuff like that, it is very, very, very easy to be a cynic. But irony poisoning is the last way that the devil wins. Because when you mock those things, the only thing that can help you, and that's Christ, he's won. He's won at that point. He has your soul, dude. It's over. If you let the devil use that hurt and that anger that you feel, that disaffected nature, And he uses that to twist that irony into something dark and tormented to the point where nothing is sacred to you anymore. He could have your soul forever. And you will be so ironic that you won't be able to see outside of that. Everything will be a big joke. Someone will go up to you and they're like, dude, you made a joke that is blasphemy. They'll be like, you're moral fagging right now. You're concern trolling. You're piety signaling me. Right? You won't take anything serious. Everything will be a giant joke. Everything is a sacred cow to be knocked down and stuff like that. And I've seen where that leads. It leads to being a sociopath. It really does lead to being a sociopath. I've seen some very sociopathic people be created as a result of taking on irony poisoning. And it's not good to any soul. It's a very, very, very corrosive. Let's see here. Ice King Boys said, what would be the difference between being humorous and sacrilegious? I'll give you a good example. There is a funny tweet. I love this tweet so much. It's like literally gold. It's one of my favorites, about how like Saint Joan of Arc, she used to take like her shield and she'd beat it with her sword to scare prostitutes like away from the camp, trying to like tempt men or whatever. These women who were trying to like lead these men into sin. That's funny, right? Like that's a funny tweet. And so like I can laugh at that because it's like I'm cheering on the good action of Saint Joan of Arc. And I'm like laughing at her doing something to like uphold God's will, right? That's humorous. That's not sacrilegious at all. Sacrilegious would be like when people like mock the sacraments of the church and they're like, oh, like a good example is like, I was hanging out with some friends recently, and one of my friends does a great impression of, if you guys remember him, Big Tech. Right? Remember that guy? We called him Bald Talmud, but Big Tech, he was one of those guys. He became an A-log later on, but he hated me and Spexo towards the end of his kind of tenure with AF or whatever. But he, one time they were talking about like prayer, and he was like mocking prayer, and he's like, oh, so we're gonna be down on our knees, huh? So we're gonna be down on our knees, trying to make a sexual joke out of prayer. That's not funny. That's gross. That's perverse. That's disgusting if you make a joke like that and you don't repent. If you repent, God will forgive you. But if you don't repent and you live in that blasphemy, you will go to hell. That's an example of being sacrilegious. So that's a great question, brother, because, it's not to say like, it's not to say that like the saints didn't do like funny things that we can laugh with. I mean, like Saint Philip Neri, one of the ways he used to troll, and this is always what I used to like be like, dude, don't be so uptight. Like he literally used to like shave half of his face and the other half he would like leave with his beard. So he'd walk around with like one half completely clean shaven, the other bearded. I'm like, bro, that is like a devious lick if I've ever heard one. Like that is so funny, honestly. Like just seeing him from the side and he turns and it's like half shaved. Like that's awesome, right? We can laugh at stuff like that. But like the Big Tech example that I gave, that's not funny and that's not okay. And Skits and Skist, he wrote a Bible verse in chat I wanted to read off from Proverbs. He said, or not he said, but the Holy Scripture says, like a crazed archer scattering firebrands and deadly arrows, such are those who deceive their neighbor and then say, I was only joking. Proverbs 26, verses 18 to 19. It's very true. When you deceive your neighbor, when you're intentionally not authentic or you're inauthentic, it causes scandal, right? Because the thing is like, look, I make sussy jokes or whatever, but like, am I serious about them? Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I'm not serious about it, right? We're joking, right? And that's part of the humor, right? There's a level of irony in that, but it's like, we're not out here to be sussy. That's gross. Like actually being that way is absolutely disgusting. And there would be some people that would piety signal and be like, really? Making jokes like that? That's absolutely inappropriate and you're instantly going to hell. It's like, okay, dude, like really? It's a joke. We all know it's a joke, right? But, again, like the Big Tech comment, which that's not even irony. That's just being like mocking and cruel, right? Something like that is so deeply corrosive to the soul. It's so deeply penetrating to the heart of man, and it corrupts sort of the vestiges of his love, that when you make jokes like that and that's your outlook, you become such a cynic that redemption is just a joke to you. You don't think that you need God. You've made yourself the critic. You've made yourself, here's the thing about being irony poison. You make yourself into God. Because what it is you then start to judge. What's the foundation of being irony poison? It's judgment. It's being a critic of everything. Everything's to be laughed at. Nothing's serious. Nothing's authentic. I point my finger and I say, that's funny. That can be memed. That can be joked around about. And you act in a capacity as God. The man who thinks that he doesn't need God because he's already won, he thinks he's redeemed himself. You're the critic. You're the cool guy. Why do you need God if you're the cool guy and you can laugh at everyone and everything's a big joke to you? Nothing's serious at that point, right? And that's why being actually irony poisoned is so corrosive to the soul. You have made yourself a judge and given yourself a power that you otherwise don't have. So this is why it's very important to be somebody who is authentic when it comes to faith. Look, politics, and even with politics, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, of course. But, look, some of the jokes there, it's a great way of actually pressing our actual viewpoints and mocking what should be mocked, right? Like the fact that like someone like Scott Presler's in the Republican Party make fun of that. That's why I like John Miller's posts. He makes fun of stuff like that all the time. John Miller is a good example. I'm not trying to glaze, but like I do really appreciate John's humor a lot of the time because it's very like witty, it's very zany, it's very it's offering a very real criticism and using humor as a way to deliver that criticism. And I think that's what I appreciate about his brand of humor when he will like post a tweet on his Telegram and write some like one-liner about it. It's like he's making a joke, but the joke is to communicate like a deeper point that we should be taking to heart as a result to affect better politics and to affect virtuous politics. And I think that's very important to kind of remember. You know what I mean? More acidic than, why are we talking about femcell sweat, dude? That's crazy. That's crazy. Pine Sap Vindicated did excellent. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Believe in a strict caste system, a characteristic of ancient societies, which consists of separating people based on gender, class, alpha or beta-ness, race.
So that's crazy. No wonder they love India, dude. I mean, that's the kind of caste system they want to create.
Sex, ethnicity, culture, IQ. This can go on forever. Depending on where you sit in the caste system dictates your worth as a human. According to them, Aryans are at the top, and at the very base of the pyramid are the untouchables. To summarize their beliefs, members of the Kaliak cult believe in purebred humans, Darwinism, survival of the fittest, tradition in the sense of a metaphorical truth, intercaste marriages, genetic determinism, and accelerationism. At 29 minutes, they describe how they don't have a specific timeline in spreading their ideology across 4chan. This is because you can get into an argument with someone one day and then change their mind the next. Meanwhile, it's the same two people arguing, just changing their approach in how they manipulate their language. To summarize the different types of accelerationism, Inventing the Future from Schrinchek and Williams and the CCRU are examples of left accelerationism or contemporary accelerationism. Left accelerationists believe in full automation and universal basic income. They believe the only way for a society to collapse is to be pushed to the breaking point, or accelerated, so that a true socialist society can exist in the aftermath. However, after Nick Land left the CCRU, he accelerated a little too hard and created a new sect of accelerationism called Landian accelerationism, which is synonymous with right accelerationism. Landian accelerationists, or r/ac, believe that machines are going to take over the world and kill everyone, because technology has gotten to a point where it is irreversible. But this is a good thing, because we will surrender ourselves to the one true God, technology. And lastly, far-right accelerationists have been lumped into the pot with white supremacists and neo-Nazi groups. They advocate for a civil war or assassinations to speed up the process of anarchy. Man, I really just need to go outside and touch some grass.
I feel like he
What if I told you that?
I feel like, oh my goodness, dude, bro looks like literally the what's that dumb, like, it's like Hank Green's brother, Crash Course. I always complain about Crash Course history. It's so bad. It's like, didn't you know medieval people ate rotten meat and they wanted spices so that it tasted less bad? Wow, thanks, Captain. Thanks, Captain Reddit, for that amazing take that, like, I can read any, even academic history book written by someone who's not, not friendly to the medieval ages or the values of it, and they can prove that's wrong, right? So bro's got the same physiognomy. And here's the thing, if the only reason that the left is really against accelerationism is because of things like hierarchy, or it's like Elon Musk at the top or whatever. If it was like gay space communism, I mean, they would be sucking it up like a vacuum, right? I mean, they would love that shit, right? But the only reason they really are against it right now is because, like, they still perceive Trump as being like one of us. And they think that, like, accelerationism is going to be like, oh, it's like a trad-cath monarchy is going to get in power. Man, I wish, right? I wish, but no, it's not going to be that way at all. So their disdain for it is completely disingenuous, because they don't actually really care about preventing. Bro, that's like actually crazy. That's disgusting. That's WNBA bro. That's crazy. That's insane, dude. But anyhow, let's stay on topic. Let's stay on topic for the big old green dildo just slapped, like, that took me away for a moment. But getting back to a more serious point, they are disingenuous with their hatred for it. I think normal people who hate it are being very serious about, kind of like your more centrist or apolitical people, are being authentic when they say, like, I'm scared of this, right? But, with people like, I don't know, probably even, maybe not Philion. I could see him being a little bit more critical of it, but, like that Hank Green looking guy that we just saw, he would love it if it was like, a black woman who's also trans promoting accelerationism, right? Like, we're all gonna be forced to wear like AI butt plugs around everywhere. And, you have to, when you're born, you have to choose like what kind of furry you want to be. It's like, what's your fur affinity? Are you into vor? Like, is there gonna be prey writhing in your big old belly that you're rubbing? Like that would be the future that they would want, right? That would be the accelerationist future that they want. But no, I mean, in actual opposition to it is anyone who understands, like, the role that technology has played recently in kind of enslaving mankind and making us all subject to kind of this way of living that's not authentic, knows that accelerationism would be very dark. It would be very evil. It would enslave humanity in every way, shape, and form. There's actually there's a little clip I wanted to play. I think I've actually played this on stream before, but you know what? We'll play it again, man. I think it's the last interview clip.
By the time Orwell's
final warning. Pine Sap is a wolf. I'm calling it now. Yeah, that's real, dude. I am actually making us stop thinking for ourselves, dude. That's real. Pine Sap, can we watch a Mr. Beast video? Why are we watching a Mr. Beast video, dude? That's crazy. Okay, if you guys are good and you want it in chat, we'll watch a Mr. Beast video, all right? How does that sound? We'll watch a Mr. Beast video with Chris Tyson. Hopefully he can show us, I hope it's not one where he has a Shad Man poster up. Hopefully it's not that. But you know, if you're good, we'll watch a Mr. Beast video. No, I'm kidding. That guy's a freak, by the way. He belongs in jail. Not Mr. Beast, but Chris Tyson. That guy's a freak. But I wanted to play this clip because, you know, I know it's kind of 1984, George Orwell or whatever. That's not really why I wanted to play this clip. I actually think there's like kind of a beautiful message at the end that I think pertains to, you know, kind of the human condition and what we find ourselves in with this whole battle over AI and, you know, what it means to be made in the image of God. And I think a lot more people waking up to that.
Married Sonia Brownell. 1984 was written. After which he would never leave his bed again. But he left one final warning.
1984 is, I believe, a quite terrifying masterpiece. So terrifying, in fact, I don't think I should like to read another like it.
I am not absolutely dissatisfied with it. I think it is a good idea, but the execution would have been better if I had not been under the influence of TB when I wrote it.
You once claimed that you have an ability to face unpleasant facts. Is that what you've demonstrated in 1984 by drawing an accurate portrait of the future?
I think that allowing for the book being, after all, a parody, something like 1984 could actually happen. This is the direction the world is going in at the present time. In our world, there will be no emotions except fear, rage, triumph, and self-abasement. The sex instinct will be eradicated. We shall abolish the orgasm. There will be no loyalty except loyalty to the party. But always there will be the intoxication of power. Always, at every moment, there will be the thrill of victory, the sensation of trampling on an enemy who is helpless. If you want a picture of the future, imagine a boot stamping on a human face forever. The moral to be drawn from this dangerous nightmare situation is a simple one. Don't let it happen. It depends on you.
I get chills. I get chills watching that last bit, especially seeing the meadow. You know, it's kind of that old saying they have in film, show don't tell. And I can't be in the director's head. That was an actor playing Orwell, right? But I can't be in the director's head when he shot that scene. But I think what he might have been thinking is, when we look at Earth, when we look at nature, when we're out in nature, right? And I don't mean some like, you know, ridiculous like, oh, Ted Kaczynski, you know, that kind of thing, right? But I mean actually like in God's creation, there's a feeling of a natural state. We're returning to natural state. We're returning to a state that we're meant to be in. I remember one of the happiest moments of my life was when I was at Philmont Scout Camp. My year of going into junior year in high school. And I was out in nature roughly for 14 days, right? I was out in nature for roughly 14 days, and I didn't have a phone. I didn't have, you know, a screen in front of me or anything like that. But I didn't even have the internet. I didn't have TV. I didn't have the radio. I just had, you know, my brothers that were out there with me and myself. And those were some of the happiest 14 days I've ever experienced in my entire life. And I fell in love with God during that. I remember, they would when you're at the like base camp where they have like the lunch hall and stuff like that. If you've ever been to Philmont in New Mexico, you know what I'm talking about. But they got the base camp. That's where the trucks drive in and they restock on things. They get new supplies to be sent to. Was my mic being weird? Hopefully it's better. But they send supplies and stuff like that to the rest of the camp, right? They kind of ship out whatever the rest of Philmont needs, right, from that location. And I remember that they had scheduled for us like the day after we got there, right? This troop from Colorado, right? The day after we get there, we're scheduled to do our like religious, right? Our sort of religious gathering. Whatever religion you are. If you're Buddhist, they got like a Buddhist monk, you go and do that. If you're Jewish, they got like a rabbi or whatever, you go and do that. I don't know if you're an atheist, I guess you just sat there or something, you sat back. But there weren't a lot of those in Scouts when I was in it, right? And I'm going to the Protestant service, the Protestant Joint Mutual Service, which is mostly like Baptists and evangelicals. And I'm walking by and I see the Mass. I see a priest there, full vestments, handing out the Eucharist. And all the guys are kneeling and they're receiving the body and blood of our Lord. And I, even being at that time not knowing anything about Catholicism, dude, I came from a county in Colorado where there were not a lot of Catholics. Like, yeah, we have a church here, right? We have a church in that county, but most people weren't serious Catholics. You didn't know that they were Catholic. It was mostly evangelicals and Mormons. But seeing someone receive Christ, it like punctured me to the heart. I didn't know what I was looking at, but I just remember being in awe. In a joking way, I almost said like, I want to be there. Like, that looks awesome. I like that. I don't like whatever, the Protestant thing. I mean, we were singing like hymns and stuff like that, right? Like, it was kind of okay, whatever. This little light of mine and all that. And I wasn't really into that, but seeing the Mass for the first time did something to me. It cut me to the bottom of my heart. It was like my heart was rooted in stone my entire life, and there was even just a corner or a bit chiseled away to reveal the real flesh, the real creation that God had made, the real heart that lied underneath. And I remember, being out in that wilderness, you guys have all heard my conversion testimony and stuff like that, but I had already kind of stopped being Buddhist a little bit. I wasn't really like a Buddhist anymore. I already thought that stuff was kind of silly, right? And I'm out in this environment where everything is stripped away from me, all tech. I can't distract myself with video games or my Xbox or what's going on at school, what's the latest drama with my friend group or what have you. I'm just out there completely isolated away from it all. And I remember thinking to myself, it's like God is the only thing that matters. I say that a lot. Like, I say that over and over and over again. And I know some people hear that and they're like, man, you're a broken record, dude. You're a broken record. What are you talking about? Yeah, we know God's all that matters. But no, to peer behind the curtain for a moment and realize like this whole life in front of us will pass by. You and I will be old one day, and we won't be young. We'll be unk, right? We will be in the retirement home. We will be, old and gray and not cool anymore. And there will be a new generation, and time will pass and our whole world will change. But he's still there. And, there was this weird thing that happened to me. Someone said, "Did you used to be Buddhist?" Yeah, I was not like straight up a Buddhist. I was a white person Buddhist, right? I wasn't super deep into it, but I had like a book on it, and I was like Nirvana, one with everything, but like seeing that the end of that was annihilation, seeing that the end of that was nothingness, seeing that the end of that was the destruction of everything that I am, and seeing instead, God in front of me, and realizing I'm not annihilated in you. I'm united. I'm made whole. I'm given a whole piece of myself that I never thought I needed. My whole life, I ever since I was a kid, I had this yearning, this longing, this, and I didn't know what it was for, but I just felt like something was missing. When I got to my adolescence, I blamed it a lot on, just a general like loss of innocence. Middle school was rough, man. I mean, just seeing how everything changes so fast. You go from being a kid and the world is as bright as rainbows to then, it's like everyone's addicted to drugs, everyone's having premarital sex, everyone's like, parents are getting divorced, and the whole world that you knew and grew up with is collapsing, right? And having to face that, I thought for so long it was like if I almost return this childlike state, if I return to this kind of state of like what it meant to be like when I was a kid, then I'll be happy. But realizing that the answer was not annihilation, the answer was not destruction and becoming just faded out into a body of stars, into dust, into nothingness, but rather to become truly whole, to be truly made whole, that missing piece finally filled. Sorry, I'm trying not to cry. I'm sorry guys. I know I get teary about this stuff. I'm trying to do better and all that, but I loved him. And I don't have any words that can do justice to that feeling. There might be some people listening right now and they might be like, what is this guy talking about? Like, made whole. And yeah, religion is for weak people. I always hear atheists say that, like, religion is for weak people. Religion is for people who need God. And it's like, I look at myself broken and I'm like, yes, you're absolutely right. The atheists are right. I do need God. I'm not enough. And I'm not enough because I'm down on myself. I'm not enough because I'm beating myself up and I'm clobbering myself, being like, why am I not perfect or what have you? But it's that there is not a totality to myself. I am not a universe unto itself. I'm not a being unto itself. You could spend the rest of your life trying to find yourself. That's what we hear nowadays, right? I'm trying to find myself. What do people who say that they're trying to find themselves do to themselves, right? They destroy themselves. They destroy their families. It's like the moms of, 20 years, they raise their kids and one day they up and leave and they divorce the dad and they're like, I just wasn't happy being married to your father and I'm going to go my own way. And I need to find myself and I need to be happier. The dad, conversely, right? Because that happens too. being like, your mom's just not doing it for me. I need to be happy. I need to be the rock star I always wanted to be. Look at what they do. You raised kids, dude. You destroyed your kids' lives. Do you know what divorce does to a kid? I've seen people literally be shattered in front of my eyes because their parents had a divorce. To find themselves. I need to find myself. I need to be the hotshot rock star I always wanted to be. I need to be the popular girl that I never was in high school. For what? So your kids can be destroyed? So that mom and dad can no longer be together? Is that it? Is that what you want? That's finding yourself? You wormed your way into their hearts only to tear yourself out. What a cruel joke. We have to, as much as they piss me off, as much as they make me angry, that's why we need to feel for atheists, because that's what they're dealing with. They will spend the rest of their lives, if they don't turn to God, they will spend the rest of their lives doing that exact same thing. I got to find myself. I gotta look inward. I gotta explore therapy, psychoanalysis. I need to. Oh, I think I'm sad because I have this tormented relationship with my mom, and my dad wasn't there growing up, and my brother, he was mean to me, and all that. And they'll blame everybody else. They'll blame everybody else, and they'll never realize that you were never made, you by your nature were never made to be a totality onto yourself. You were never made to be whole by yourself. And pursuing that for the rest of your life will just tear you apart. And it will tear up the lives of other people around you. So only God can fill that vacuum in your heart. There is a God-shaped hole in all of our hearts, and only He will fill it. And drugs and alcohol and psychotherapy and therapy itself and getting a new girlfriend and getting a new car and I got my dream. We always hear I got my dream job. I've got my dream job and my dream career, and I don't need anybody or anything but money and to get my bag up. That will never be enough. And you will turn on the people around you, you will turn on yourself, and you will be wondering, why am I so unhappy? It's because you don't have Him. So I know, I say that a lot. I know people can probably be like, man, yeah, we've heard that, the old Catholic, God is everything and all that. But I tell you, man, you're going to be old someday, and you're going to have lived life. And you're going to realize that if you didn't turn to Him, your whole life, despite everything you've done, good and bad, was never enough. So that's why you need Him right now. Don't turn to Him on your deathbed. Turn to Him right now, man. He's the only thing that can fill that hole in your heart. So, yeah, I mean, man, I think that's like, going back to this Orwell video, this scene with the flowers in the meadow. When we think about something like the Dark Enlightenment and what it wants to do to humanity and what it wants to create in us and with us, is it strips away all of this. It strips away what is real, what God has made. And everything, I mean, when you think of even the word AI, artificial intelligence, what's that first word? Artificial. It's reality made in the image of man. And man is a fallen creature. Man is a fallen being that is inflicted with the wound of original sin. And anything he tries to make to be like God is going to be inverted, it's going to be half complete, and it's going to be evil. And stripping away this totality of beauty that God has given us, that's the kind of future that the Dark Enlightenment wants to usher in. Everything that is human, everything that is good, everything that is beautiful, that is graceful, that is life-giving, that is loving, it's going to be gone. Look, I know we meme about JD Vance and stuff like that and Teal and all those guys. Oh, Teal looks like he is a skinwalker and he just crawled out of a vat. JD Vance is fat and gay or whatever. And he, his face looks like a Garbage Pail Kid or something, right? I know we meme about that. But this is the dark, evil energy that's behind these guys. You heard it in the video. The one with Philion, right? Nick Land. He was a Satanist. He was literally a Satanist. And that Satanism underpinned all of his writings on the Dark Enlightenment. And so for him, even if he wrote a line that's true, oh, the left hates hierarchy and that's bad, right? We're going to own SJWs or the woke mind virus. That's what they always say, right? Even if that stuff is true by itself, they're not wanting to create anything beautiful. They don't want God. They don't want nature. They don't want creation. They don't want what is human and what is life-giving and what's real. They want to create their own world that they can run, their own caste system that they can be at the top of, their own pyramid where we are being crushed under and where nothing feels authentic. Imagine a future, as Orwell said, if you want to take a look into this future, imagine a boot stepping on a human face repeatedly. It is the antithesis of everything that it means to be made in the image of God. Because AI is made in the image of man. It's not made in the image of God. We are made in the image of God. That is not anything. I don't care if you're listening to that. I don't care where you are in life right now. Maybe you are doing great. Everything's going your way. You've got a family. You're getting married to a beautiful young lady. Everything's going great. Or you're sitting in your room right now. You're on your 5th monster and you sleep until 11 every single day. Maybe it's going great. Maybe it's going horrible. But nobody can take away the fact that you are a child of God. Nobody can make fun of that. Nobody can strip that away from you. Nobody can take away the image of God that you're made in, because you know what? That's eternal. That's something imprinted on all of your being. That can't be destroyed. It can be harmed, it can be wounded, it can be tattered, it can be torn, but it can't be destroyed. And AI and that whole technology is made in the image of man. And it wants to subject the image of God, who we are, who we were made to be, to the image of man. Fallen, corrupt, incomplete, all because of original sin. And so we as Catholics, we as Christians, we as followers of Jesus Christ have to do everything to resist that future. We have to do every single thing, every bit of being that we are, even if we die. Yes, death is a very real possibility, my friends, and I know it's scary, but it's real. This isn't your grandma's politics. This isn't your grandpa's political situation. This is real. This is life or death. We have to resist that future of the Dark Enlightenment. We have to resist that future of AI. It is Antichrist. The religion of the future is Antichrist. And if we can suffer right now so that our children can have a better future, and they don't live under technocracy, but they live what is real, what is made in God's likeness and image, that's what we need to fight for. So, we meme a lot. Our enemies are stupid. They look funny and stuff like that. It's very easy to clown and joke. And we need a level of that. There does need to be levity. If you don't laugh, you cry, right? But it goes without saying that these are very serious problems. We're not kidding around. With all of this technology stuff, all this Black Mirror type shit, this isn't a joke. This is life or death. So it's like I started the video. If the Republican Party needs to just get absolutely destroyed in the midterms or even in the presidential election come 2028, so be it. I will not have my children growing up in a future that is made in the image of man, that is made in the image of Antichrist. I want a future that is made in the image and likeness of God and that is subject to him. And that's what we have to labor for, and that's what we have to fight for. So I think this was a good thing to cover. And this is off the cuff. I wasn't planning for all this, but I think it's an important topic to cover, It's something that we have to take to heart, right? And I think that if we're knowledgeable about this, it means that we can create a better future. So don't get black pill. Don't get down, dude. I mean, at the end of the day, even if we die, Christ has already won, right? And there's no reason to ever give up hope. Getting black pilled is the gayest thing that you can do. It's like Jesus has already won. He's already conquered death. That's the most difficult victory anyone had to even overcome. The idea of no longer existing, no longer breathing, right? So what is there to fear at this point? We have life in him. Even if we die, we still have life, right? And so, it gives us a kind of a moment to smile, a moment to feel like happier and stuff like that. Not be so down on ourselves, not feel bad. But love you, Sap. I love you too, Mewtwo. It is Scrolljack. What did Scrolljack say? Is it even possible for a material system to process discursive reasoning? It seems AI will remain in its Reddit chatbot simulator state. I hope it will. I pray that it does, brother. I pray that it does. Take the sap pill, dude. That's crazy. What would that even taste like? I don't know if that would be. I don't know if that would be appetizing. I think that would be a little gross. But anyhow, let's see. Anonymous said ordered 100 Saint Benedict medals and they arrived today. Let's go. Congratulations, buddy. Let's see here. Oh, I know that let's see. Catholic Monarchist sent two $20 super chats. Just want to read those off. I think he accidentally sent the same one. I don't know. Can I refund him? Oh, yikes. Can I refund him? If he wants me to refund him, I will send him that refund. Just reach out to me, buddy. I'll make sure to get you your $20 back. Let's see. He said Pat Buchanan, so $20 from Catholic Monarchist. He said Pat Buchanan and Ron Paul were the only Republicans who ran for president that put America first and were branded as anti-Semitic. Israel first is the Republican Party's default position. So true, brother. And that's the other thing we got to fight against. This whole dark enlightenment stuff. Who do you think's funding all these projects? Who do you think's behind it, right? It's certainly not the Amish, right? I have to say that term on Instagram, but it's not the Amish doing this. So let's just put it that way. So F said, I'm a Sedevacantis Portuguese, right? Oriental, true Orthodox. Dude, so true, man. So it's interesting. One of the main true Orthodox monasteries is actually in Buena Vista, Colorado. I should maybe visit it sometime for some content. But I had a friend visit recently. He said it's very interesting. He's like, it's only the bishop there and two priests or brothers, but he's like, it's such a small little enclave. They have virtually nobody there. And he's like, there's literally a guy who drives to go to the Divine Liturgy every month, 3 hours from his house. And I'm like, that's actually insane. Not in the future that the church could not be reduced to only a handful, but to think that it's the only continuation of the church is some remote monastery in Buena Vista, Colorado. That's insane, dude. That's absolutely insane. And it kind of goes back to, Ronald Knox had this great book, Enthusiasm. And enthusiasm is kind of the undergirding of like all heretical ideas, right? It's like, there's sort of these themes, thematics that run through like heresy. And the central theme that kind of runs through all heretical movements is like the idea that like they're the continuation of real Christianity versus Catholicism. And oftentimes these groups will kind of get reduced to like a small handful because in their mind, like the true church has apostatized and they're the continuation of it. And so they need to perpetuate it. But it leads to these very real, weird results that kind of show that these groups like lack the marks of the church. They lack the Catholicity of the church. Not because Catholicity involves the church being big. I mean, the church could be a handful of people again. But it's one of those things where the church is always going to retain her marks, even if she is just a handful again. Which these heretical groups, it's like they adopt ideas that are completely antithetical to historical Christianity. They're not rooted in tradition. They're not rooted in scripture. They're things that people just dreamt up. I mean, look at the Albigensians, right? The Cathars, my ancestors. I'm sorry. I'm still paying reparations for what they did. But, they thought that they were this like continuation of true Christianity. And it's like they had dualist beliefs. They thought it was like tug of war between, evil and good. And, I heard even the more radical ones had like Adamite masses where they would do the liturgy completely naked. And I think they even had like ritualized orgies and stuff like that. I mean, absolutely insane, dude. Z said, Pine, I needed this, bro. Thank you, man. I love you, man. Hey, I love you too, Z. I appreciate that. r/Catholicism video when I will try to, I will get, I not will try. I will get it out this next week. I will just bite the bullet. I will put out whatever I put out. I hope that my off-the-cuff style translates well. I'm tired of doing scripts and stuff like that. That's not my MO. That's just not how I am. I like to speak from the heart. So even if I, stutter, even if it's not, the most polished or whatever, I'm just going to put it out because that's the style that's real. I don't want to just be reading from a script. I don't want to be reading from something prefabricated. I want it to be like this, conversational, just flowing from the hip. And I think that natural kind of style, that natural effect is really what's real. So I think that should be good. But let's see here. We can't give evil any more power than it has. It can only tempt. That's true. Am I a daily mass goer yet? No, I need to be though. I'm going to start doing that. I don't know. Morning is tough for me, but there are places near me. There are churches near me that do afternoon masses. So I'm going to try seeing if I can go to some afternoon daily masses. That would be really, really good. That would be really good for my spiritual life and stuff like that. I think that would help me a lot. I need to go to confession again. It's been too long. I've been wrestling with some stuff in my soul, and so it's been kind of tough to go recently, but I do need to hold myself to that and go. Would you consider doing a debate review? Yeah, for sure, Danny. Whatever debate you want me to review or whatever, just send it my way. Natty sap. Yeah, that's so true. And I've gotten back in the gym, so that's been good. And I'm going to start doing meal prep. I've been eating better, but I need to start doing meal prep and watching my caloric intake and stuff like that because I want to lose all this weight. I want to be an actually natural guy, be strong, be fit. I want to, if I'm representing the church, I want to look my best and feel my best. So we got to make sure we're going down that route. Your monologue is genuinely really helped, Sap. Thank you, Crisis King. Well, thank you, Justin. I appreciate that, brother. God bless you. Pine Sap, why don't you upload stream clips? That could be a good way of putting out video content without having to make up scripts or anything. That's not a bad idea. I'm not good at clipping. If anyone wants to be a clipper for me, I'm even willing to pay you and stuff like that because what you would be getting, what you would be bringing to the channel in terms of just like content and stuff like that would more than make up for anything that I would pay you. So if you guys know any like good streamers or what have you, I was maybe thinking of like reaching out to Azusa Graper or any of the main streamers that I see posting Nick clips. If they could make some clips for me, I'd be willing to pay them and stuff like that because they're great guys and they do great work. I think if we could start, clipping the stream and stuff like that, that would look really, really tight. That'd look really good. Dude, after Vatican II, the church became universal. Kenneth Copeland is the real pope. So true, dude. And listen, we wrestle not with principalities and powers, but with we or no, that's not how he says it. He says we wrestle not with flesh and blood, but principalities and powers. And don't you ever call me a fake cell again, dude. That private plane confrontation was absolutely insane. Pine Sap, where do you stand on the SSPX? I would say that they're misguided brothers. I wouldn't say that I consider them enemies. I do think that they do have actual theological errors that are problematic. I do think that they do ostensibly, or not ostensibly, that's not the right word. I do think that effectively they do deny the indefectibility of Christ's church, and that's a massive problem, and that's something that's unacceptable. But their heart is in the right place, and we have to pray for their return to a canonical status within the body of Christ, and we have to be charitable to them too. So I think that's my approach. They're definitely not the right approach to the crisis in the church, but I think they're misguided brothers who are well-intentioned. We need to treat them as such, not as enemies. They're definitely not enemies. Let's see here. I would recommend going to a few dailies after being being fully committed to mass every day. That's a good idea, honestly. Like maybe just a day of the week I choose. I know I'm going to go to mass also that day of the week in addition to, of course, our Sunday requirement. I think that's a good idea. Ripsap. Did Pope Leo welcome the SSPX like 3 weeks ago? Yeah, they were on the Jubilee list, but then they got removed. I'm not sure who did that. Can you review Eric Ybarra's debates? Sure, yeah, I could definitely do that, man. That'd be a good look. Going to sleep, but I want to say thank you for being one of my main influences that pulled me away from Eastern Orthodoxy. God bless you, Seth. Hey, God bless you, John Chud. I love you, man. Eat plenty of nuts, walnuts for omega-3. Yeah, dude, I love walnuts. They're so good. We've been getting a lot of peach crisps recently, and so I've had a peach crisp, and I think the next one we're going to make is with walnuts in it, so that's going to be delicious, man. And that's a good, healthy dessert, too. Like, if you're going to have dessert, you know, keep it good and healthy. Just a little slice. Nothing major, you know. Love you, Pine Sap. Keep up the great work. Dude, let's go. I'm a rich Amish backed by richer Amish. Dude, that's so real, honestly. That's so real. Can you let people on stream, please? Not tonight, my brother. I do got to get going, but I would love to do a call-in stream. That would be very fun. Hey, Sap, you were my main influence in getting back to the church. I'm now applying to seminary. So grateful for your influence. XRA, thank you so much, man. That means a lot for me. Or a lot for me. A lot for me. What am I saying? That means a lot to me, man. That really does mean a lot. I really appreciate that. And I'm so happy that you're going to seminary. That is huge, man. Blessed be God. You're going to be a great priest, man. I really believe that you are going to offer Christ Church exactly what it needs in this time. So God bless you, man. That's amazing. Let's see here. We wouldn't have the Latin Mass without the SSPX, though. I go by... I wouldn't agree with that. I think that there were ways to get the Latin Mass without doing what Lefebvre did. I think that he went about it the wrong way, right? There's a couple other priests, like Father Brian, I think it's Father Brian Houghton, or Houghton, I think is his last name, who wrote a great book, kind of an autobiography of like his journey through celebrating the TLM, but also remaining a faithful Catholic. And I think he has a really good take on Archbishop Lefebvre in there. I'm going to see if I can get an excerpt from it. Maybe I have it, have the book around somewhere. I think I can also get it on Anna's archive too. So I'll try and see if I can kind of rip out what he says about, excuse me, oh my goodness, I'm burpy, Archbishop Lefebvre and stuff like that. But I think it's a good criticism from a traditional Catholic perspective, not some like gay Loftonian, like, it's bad, but also Hindus have a valid religion. Okay, yeah, no. No thanks, pal. Any chance of continuing Logos Triumphant with Spexo? It helped me convert. Absolutely. We'll totally do another episode. It hasn't been intentional that we haven't done one. It's just literally life has been so busy as we become more adult, and he's got such a big family now and stuff like that. But yes, we will do another one coming up here soon. I think after his cruise, we're going to do another. So stay tuned for that. I'm Nick Land. Nigaland 3000 said, I'm Nick Land, ironic on Zitter. 'Twas great speaking with you. However, the horrible the connection was, you've been very influential in my reversion to Catholicism. Well, hey, man, thank you so much. God bless you, man. That means a lot. Latin Mass in a Chicago accent. That sounds good, man. I still got to go to Chicago. That seems like a good city. Well, not Chirac, but the nice parts of it. I would love to see just the historical buildings and what the city has to offer. I've been to St. Louis like 2 times now. I love St. Louis. It's a great spot, but I got to go out to Chicago, see what's up. Maybe, dude, I could be like one of those horrible like super chat like ultra fans. Maybe I can meet up with Nick and we can get lunch and stuff. Like I always love like people who, I know some people who know Nick on a more personal level, and they'll get like hit up all the time, and it's like, can you arrange a lunch with me and Nick? I want to talk to him about some stuff. It's like, dude, like this guy isn't his secretary, okay? Like that's not gonna happen. Like, let's have like a realistic stock of the situation here. What do I think of Bishop Tuke? Man, dude, he lost his mind. I mean, I heard he was like ordaining maybe not women, but like all kinds of like random people and stuff like that. I don't think his line of ordination is valid. I think he might have messed up the formula of consecration. So yeah, he was insane. I'm glad he reconciled with the church in 1983, though. That was beautiful to see. Let's see. Michael Lofton was weird for that. Michael Lofton's a freak, dude. Like, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be nice, but like the guy has completely lost his mind. And I think he just gets off on being a contrarian. So, when it wasn't popular to defend Pope Francis, he was Pope Francis's strongest soldier. Now that everyone loves Pope Leo and there's not really any controversy, it's like he wants to be he wants to be the Holy Father's biggest hater and critic. Like the guy is completely inconsistent. I have not watched any of his videos for like almost half a year now. I think actually even longer than that. He's got some old content that's kind of good. Like some of the work he did on like Amoris Laetitia back in the day, but he is a freak now and he's fully fallen into heresy. I would recommend everyone stay away from him. Sanctified said, I'm considering the Jesuit order in order to grow and change the order from within. They also have a strong scholastic tradition that they need to return to. Yeah, dude, I've heard great results with the new Jesuits coming in. I mean, I don't think it's as infiltrated as people think it is. So I think you have a real potential to make some change in there. And I bless that or I don't have any power of blessing, but like I totally support your venture in that, dude. I think we need that because they are the Marines of the church. And if we have a strong Jesuit order, we can change the world. We love you, Sappy. I love you too. 0165. Sorry, it was a hard time reading out your name there. But I love you too, man. You're awesome. Let's see. Okay. A-Wolf said, hey, Nick, love the show. Can we have a sleepover? Yeah, dude, seriously. It's like that kind of energy. I mean, there's being a fan and then there's being a freak. And it's like, there's no reason to be that way. Anonymous, Pine Sap, can you arrange a lunch with me and Nick? Pine Sap, can you arrange a lunch with me and Pine Sap? Well, Skits and Skist, if you're ever in Colorado, man, just hit me up, If you're in Denver, hit me up and we'll go get lunch, man. Just don't eat the pizza here, though, even though I don't really like deep dish pizza here. I heard the pizza's good. I need to try it. At least once. Hey, Religious Hippie, can you arrange a lunch with me and Pine Sap? Thanks so much. Yikes, dude. Her video on being like, I left X because Elon Musk's version of free speech is bullying women. It's like, X is for guys. Can we just be real? Like, X is for guys. Like, the only few girls, like, there's some girls that follow me, like St. Peter Venerator or like Rad Trad Girly, and I appreciate them. But, they just hang out in their circles. They're not trying to, like, do anything crazy. But, like, oh my goodness, that Olivia chick, dude. And even, like, RH for a while, the attention seeking is so bad. Thread on the crisis in the church. When? I can actually make that tomorrow. I've got some books for that, so I can definitely make that tomorrow, and that would be I think that'd be a very helpful book list because, even though this pontificate has been going better, there is still a crisis in the church. I think people need to read historical examples of how to deal with that and the spirituality that goes into reforming the life of the church that I think would help a lot of people and inspire a lot of people. Robert Del Rosario said, love you, Pine Sap. I would call you a real N-word, but I remembered this is a telegram. Hey, I appreciate it. And I'm trying to clean up the language. I cursed a little bit on stream, but that was just ad effect or whatever. We don't want to be a potty mouth. And even that I gotta tone down on, right? Have I ever been to New England? No, I have not been. But I would love to check it out, man. Sorry, I heard like a weird jingling sound for a moment. I've never been to New England. I'd love to check out New England, dude. That sounds fun. Um, love you, Sappy. I gotta go so I can wake up for mass tomorrow. Well, hey, love you too, Birdman. I will see you tomorrow, dude. Or I'll see you tomorrow. You're going to mass tomorrow. That's what you said. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good time at mass tomorrow, man. I will see you later, okay? Yeah, girls should stay on IG. And even then, it's like they should have like private accounts. Like they should, it's like friends and family only, not like public. I'm trying to get attention, that kind of thing. War on Beauty is good. Yeah, War on Beauty I appreciate. I feel like she makes actual content and she's not trying to like, just post like thirst traps or whatever. So I appreciate her for that reason. Catholic influencers should do charity auctions for lunches or meetups if they want to do something positive with the social side of their online perspective. I've thought about doing a like, I don't know, like a sap pack in Colorado, but I don't know how to organize something like that. And I'm worried if like people would be like, there's this far right event going on. Everyone protested or something. So that kind of freaks me out. But I wanna figure out a way I can hang out with all of you guys. That would be really fun. I think we need like a sap pack or something like that. That'd be really good. I don't know if we have an audience large enough for that, but it'd be kind of fun, even if it was just like kind of a couple of us. Joe the Boomer does Brap Pack, so Brap Pack's a good time, and I know that's only a couple people, so I don't mind hanging out with like, even if it was like 6 dudes who showed up, it's like, hey, that's still a big group. We can go get like there's this really good Nepalese restaurant in Golden, Colorado that I love going to. It's called Sherpa House. We go to like Sherpa House, we get some like chicken tikka masala, which, dude, I'm gonna be honest, I love chicken tikka masala. I love chicken tikka masala. It's so good. You get some like mango lassi with it. It goes hard, dude. Some chai tea. That's like a good meal right there. That's hot stuff. You can get that in a number of places. Pinesap, thoughts on Patrick Bet David? I heard that guy ran a scam, and I don't know. I think that he has like some admirable aspects to maybe like his personality or something, but like I don't fully trust the guy as far as I'm concerned. I think he's a little bit of a grifter. I think maybe not a grifter. I think he's an opportunist. That's what I would say. I think he's an opportunist. I think he's someone who we can't fully put our trust into. And at best, he's kind of like a useful like leg up. Like if you can use him as kind of a leg up in terms of content or whatever, that's great. But I don't fully trust the guy completely. War on Beauty and Pine Sap, dude, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. She is pretty cute. I'm not going to lie. I would go out on a date with her. I'd take her out on Sap Pack in New England so you can come from the Mayflower. That'd be kind of crazy, dude. Sap Pack in New England. You could just invite local groypers to mass and lunch. Dude, I have tried to squat up with a few groypers in Colorado and like they never buy, like it's like one dude or something. It's like, that's fine. Like I'll hang out with one guy, but it's like, I want like an IRL group. Like I want us to go do like hikes together and fun stuff. And, we're matching uniforms and we can march with like, Iron Man shields. No, I'm kidding. But I would love to do like a thing where we all go to like mass together. We all hang out. We all have a good time. And maybe we have like a little community or something where it's like, hey, if this guy needs some help with something or, trying to find a job or whatever it is, like, I think that'd be really fun to have. I have actually thought about when I start doing more stuff and I can hold myself more accountable to just the content at the very least. I have thought of starting a young men's organization for Catholics in Colorado that tries to like seek to reach out to other guys too who maybe aren't Catholic yet, because we need more stuff like that for guys, man. I mean, like trying to like hang out with other like dudes my age, it's super tough, and it's like there's not a good social environment here. And when I was out in California, like it was so much fun getting to hang out with everyone around my age. It's like, why can't we do that like every day, dude? Like that would be so much fun. You going to Seek? When's Seek this year? Is that Seek 2026? Where's that going on at? Yo, Denver, Colorado. Okay, I'm there, dude. I'm there. Okay, I will be at Seek. I will be at Seek this next year. Just you wait. Everybody better be going the Denver one, dude. If you're going the Columbus, Ohio, or the Fort Worth one, disloyal. No, I'm kidding. If that's closer to you, go to that one. But if you want to come out of the Denver one, I will definitely be there. I didn't even know what was going on in Denver. I knew it was in Salt Lake City this year. I should have gone, man. That would have been like a ton of fun, but that's okay. Are Ellis Islanders real Americans? Yeah, I would say that real Americans are anyone who can trace their lineage to back before the Hart-Celler Act. After that, I don't know, man. I wouldn't say so. I think if you're after the Hart-Celler Act, 19, what was that, like 1965? I don't know about that one. Let's see. Pine Sap comments tickle sleepover. That'd go so hard, bro. That'd be funny because I'd be hard. I mean, whoa, pause. I'm just making a joke. I'm just making a joke, right? I mean, like I'd be like hard, like tough, not that way. Redeem Gooner, what's up, Sapster? What's up, buddy? We need to make a Groyper Bohemian Grove in the wilderness of Colorado. We honestly do, bro. That'd be super fun. The funny thing is, like, there's a ton of places to like create something like that. So it'd be like the perfect state to do something. I've always said, like, we do need more monasteries here. I really don't know why there aren't like more monasteries, because I really do think it would be like really good being in the state, being up in like a mountain monastery. You could have like Benedictines, you could have like Carmelites. I don't know why more people don't look for like land where they can start a monastery. I mean, that would create like such a great like environment for monastic life. You'd literally be away from the world. But they choose all these other states that I'm like, dude, it's not happening. Like, here's the place to go. You've got all this land. Oh, let's see here. Pine Sap, you're like the serious Catholic version of Christian Mario. I appreciate that, man. I love Christian Mario. Seek Sap Pake. Let's go. Hey, Mr. Pine Sap, favorite Greek father. Started studying Greek recently and trying to figure out where to hop on this stuff. I like St. Maximus the Confessor a lot because of his treatment of the church and infallibility. He's classic, man. I mean, St. Maximus the Confessor, just his whole life and his witness to the faith and stuff like that. He's a good one to turn to. Type 2 Novus Ordo in control. Trust the plan, okay? We're in control. Don't be showing up to our parishes unannounced. It's like that Zach, not Zach. It's that Chris clip from Oni Plays. It's like, Chris, tell them your name. Hello. Be nice. I'll kill you. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Let's see. Which Ye album's my favorite? Honestly, the new one coming out is really good. I've liked his newer music. His older music's good, but like Jesus is King. Donda has got to be my favorite. Donda was just such a good album, man. I mean, that really was like, he created real Christian art with that album. Jesus is King is a pretty good album, but there's a lot more like slower songs on there or whatever. Donda's where I think he synthesized the energy of Jesus is King and really made an authentic piece of Christian art that's on par with like the greats of our civilization. I know that's glazing, but I think it's really good. I think it's a solid album. I listen to that one all the time. I think it's like my most listened to album, actually. Mountain Angel Abbey. Let's check this out. Where is this, dude? Yo, is this up in Washington? That's crazy. This looks beautiful, dude. Hold on. I'm gonna share my screen. This looks gorgeous. Oh, someone also super chatted me too. I forgot to answer that. Matthew sent $10. I sent you a super chat over a year ago saying I was discerning the priesthood. I just wanted to share that I got accepted. I'm now a diocesan seminarian. Please pray for me and God bless. Well, God bless you, Matthew. That's awesome, dude. Blessed be God. Blessed be God. Dude, that's amazing. Oh, St. Michael's Abbey out in California, goated. It's so good. You guys got to go. That was like life-changing visiting that place. And this looks like a beautiful abbey too. Mount Angel Abbey. I got to check that out. I go up to the Northwest sometimes, so maybe that's a little place I got to stop by. Because let's see, it's in Oregon. Okay, so that's like a road trip, but that's not too bad. I can make that work. Dude. Donda 2 is very good, though. Yeah, that's so true. Bully was really good, too. Bully is a goated album. Do you think Carlo Q should have been canonized? Absolutely. I never doubt the church on her judgment when it comes to canonizations. She's never been wrong. I've looked at even the most critical questions of all the lives of the saints, all the challenges people put their way. the church's wisdom when it comes to canonizing someone is truly godly. I can't explain it any other way. And so yeah, he should be canonized. I think it's so gay that people hate on Carlo Aquinas because they're like, oh, he's just like a normal kid. Well, that means that holiness can reach anyone. Like, you know, being a monk and being a saint is beautiful and wonderful. And you can also be a saintly lay person too. And it's like, why are we pitting the stations of life against each other? It's like, you can be a holy lay person or a holy monastic or a holy priest or a holy nun, or, you know, have those differences in stations of life and still be called to the same holiness, the same beatitude. I think it's so gay that people hate on that. It's like, dude, he played Xbox and like PS2. Like, that's the most goated thing in the world. My newborn son is being baptized tomorrow. I was curious what your thoughts on how we should educate our children. Thank you. That's a good question, man. I would say if there's a good Catholic school nearby, definitely send them there. Public school, I generally recommend against it, but if on the off chance there's like a really good public school, you know, I went to a really good public elementary school when I was a kid and changed my life. So on the off chance there's still something like that exists, you could send them there. Otherwise, homeschool. Homeschool is the way to go, but definitely send them to a private Catholic school if you can, if it's a good private Catholic school. If it's not, though, definitely homeschool. But congratulations, Tim. That's huge, man. As a trad, I must exert the existence of a type 2 TLM attendee as well. That's so real, dude. That's so real, honestly. Let's see here. Pine sap. Is someone saying pine sap? Someone saying pine sap in chat? All right, gang. Well, I think we have been going for a while here now. I think I got to close it up for tonight. But I would love to do a stream next week and drop finally the video. And then I feel like once I drop that video, the ball will get rolling. It'll be much easier to make videos after that. So we should be, you know, kind of releasing video content as well as streams fairly regularly. But thanks so much for tuning in, guys. This was awesome. I love you guys. God bless and keep you always and forever. And I will see you on the